preseason schedule today as 8 teams take to the field here on TSN. We head to Hamilton, where hostilities are renewed between a couple of old rivals in the Argonauts and the Tiger Cats. With less than 2 weeks to the start of the 2025 CFL season, both Toronto and Hamilton looking to make some final preparations and adjustments to their rosters. But great news, we are going to see some star power in this one tonight. Bo Levi and Mitchell under center. And on the flip side, with Chad Kelly still recovering, it will be the Grey Cup MVP in Nick Arbuckle starting for the Argonauts. Look, we know it's preseason, but it's Hamilton in Toronto, so you got to expect some fantastic football, especially in the first half. But you know what? We always bring our A game. It's Kate Burness alongside Davis Sanchez, Milt Stiegel. We are thrilled to be back, as said. Less than 2 weeks to the start of the CFL season, but some fascinating storylines going into this season. And we were discussing before the show the Toronto Argonauts. I mean, Chad Kelly's one thing, but then you look at what's happened to this defense, particularly the D-line and the movement on it. What is the bigger issue for you right now, Ches?
I mean, it's Chad Kelly because the quarterback leads the team. But I will say, you mentioned departures and all the moves. Well, the player personnel guys in Toronto, they're going to earn their money this offseason. We got a whole, we talked about it, their whole defensive line is gone. Now, defensive linemen have been a group that's been able to, you've been able to find defensive players, defensive ends, but let's see what they come up with. But I really think the biggest thing, Kate, is Chad Kelly. But, oh no, I have to go with the Grey Cup MVP and put him in the game, and Nick Arbuckle, a pretty good problem.
You know what? I don't have any issue. I don't think they have any issues.
Wow.
Did you see what they've been able to do? Especially last offseason. They lost a bunch of players last offseason. Pickett, their defense MVP. Stiggers, their rookie of the year. Chad Kelly missed the first 9 games. Javon Leak, the special team player there, they lost all those guys. So they've been able to replace whoever is hurt, whoever left for free agency. So I have no issue with Chad not being there, or they losing their entire defensive line and losing other players because they've been able to replace whoever they lost or they lost to free agency.
Well, and you know the thing is, too, I mean, we look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a team like this, and they continually lose players each and every year, and somehow they plug the holes. And that's how you tell if a franchise is great, if they can do it each and every year. Because, look, there is so much movement in the CFL. By the way, Stiegel, you're losing your voice a little bit. Were you guys busy today?
It was a lot of screaming at the CFC prospect game this afternoon. Of course, I won again, so there was a lot of screaming.
Is that now?
It's 2 in a row. It's 2 in a row.
2 in a row?
I think I need to find somebody else to coach against because Chaz is not a challenger.
I mean, I've never been offered the opportunity. I'm just saying I'm sitting here the entire
You put your name in the hat?
Yeah, but this was a 1-point game, I was told.
1-point game.
It was a great game.
It was a great game.
These kids put on a show.
All right. They were on the field earlier, maybe a few of them in the CFL in the years to come. We've got preseason action from Hamilton between the Tiger Cats and the Argonauts coming up next on TSN.
Is this the part where I go insane and break all the rules? Looking at you, see me, and I don't even know that you there. Must have been dreaming, leaning on somebody who got you here. I'm the one that's standing alone in this oceans of fools. Better body somebody and probably over nothing new. All the legends and legends, I'm heading where there's very few. And my stepping stone is an unknown, and he look just like you.
A rivalry renewed. It's the Tiger Cats and the Argonauts. It doesn't matter what time of year it is, although it is 14 degrees. It feels a little bit like playoff weather, but hey, we say that every time these two teams come together as we welcome you to Hamilton Stadium. Marshall Ferguson alongside Paul Lapalisse. Lapo, how are you?
Good to see you.
We're back. Yeah, we're getting back into this thing. The last time we saw the Toronto Argonauts obviously on the field, Grey Cup champions and Grey Cup MVP Nick Arbuckle gets the start here once again in the preseason.
Yeah, who would have last year had under bingo card or the FanDuel odds to be the Grey Cup MVP? MVP. This guy, Nick Arbuckle, with 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. How about this guy, most outstanding player in the East? Scott Milanovic said this in this offseason, that Bo Levi Mitchell, by the end of the year, really understood what we're trying to do offensively. And that was only about a third left of the season. How about 18 games of him and Scott on the same page? Going to be amazing to watch.
Yeah, Scott Milanovic, of course, at the helm for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, running the offense as well. And Ryan Dinwiddie for the Argonauts on the other side. Again, coming off a Grey Cup championship. The Argos, winners of 3 of the last 7 Grey Cups. Hard to believe, but Ryan Dinwiddie instrumental in the last couple of those, of course, as the ball rolls off the tee to get things going in 2025. As I say, a little bit gusty around here.
Hey, we're in Hamilton. There's always a little bit of wind gust.
Again, doesn't matter what time of year it is, but anybody who lives in the region knows it has been rainy and chilly throughout this week. And now the ball back on the tee and ready to go for Hamilton receiving after they won the coin toss. And someone's going to have to hold this. 2025 doesn't want to get going in there. What's going on? Thankfully, the rain has stayed away here tonight, so decent preseason crowd out enjoying the sun while they can for the next little while.
Kenneth George trying to show he can be a holder. The more you can do.
Hey, why not, right?
The more you can do. Look at that.
Most athletic thing you can do on a football field. Pin and then chase. Kenneth George Jr. gets the opportunity right here. As Alfredo Ganchus-Lozada fires this one up, and we're underway from Hamilton. And it'll be returned back across the 35. And spinning, staying on his feet and fighting for even more yards. That's Lawrence Woods on the return. And out comes Bo Levi Mitchell, expected hopefully to play at least a half. We'll see how this plays out for him, but what a stellar 2024.
Yeah, in talking to Scott Milanovic, he really talked about, he was really impressed with even the times that he struggled with throwing interceptions and Scott trying to teach him what he wanted within the system. He really bought into what they were trying to do, even when he got benched for 1 football game, and then he responded by being an outstanding player.
Well, they come out throwing right away, going to Kenny Lawler down the sideline as a flag comes out. It is incomplete, but Ciante Evans against Kenny Lawler. No, that's not Lions versus Bombers.
So here's the story. Kenny Lawler getting this player for Bo Levi Mitchell. Having this player in this system, why this made sense for Ted Gavaya is because Bo Levi Mitchell throws the ball deeper than anybody in the Canadian Football League last year. He now gets somebody, he can just throw it up. When he sees the one-on-one matchup like right here, he can throw it up. And I believe Kenny Lawler is one of the best, if not the best, going up and getting the football.
They'll go with a toss out here early on. Greg Bell, stellar first year with the Tiger Cats, and he'll pick up a couple of yards in that spot. But to your point, Lawler, you got Shamar Bridges back healthy. We'll talk about him as we go throughout the evening. You got Tim White going at full steam as well. So they open things up, but then they can just slip it down to Bell on quick little pitches like this.
Yeah, and, Greg Bell certainly did an outstanding job later half of the season and allowed them to, they wanted to move on and make sure that Greg Bell get more reps throughout the course of the season. And Shamar Bridges was a great player for them as a rookie. They found a good young receiver.
And Delitre crosses the formation here as Mitchell hands it off inside. Thought about pulling and looking to the outside, but they'll pound it up in between the tackles, and it'll make it second down and about 5 yards to go, 6 yards.
And the Ticats really trust Greg Bell because that allowed them to, they were able to move on James Butler and say, hey, we really believe in this young football player. He's really good, what you call short space quicks inside the box, running the football, talented player, does protections very well, which is important for Scott Milanovic's system.
Lawler at the bottom of your screen here. Mitchell looks the other direction, open in the end zone, hung up in the air, and rolled off the fingertips of the aforementioned Tim White.
Throw right down the middle of the field. Had to look like a bust in coverage because you don't usually this close to the end zone get players in a spot, but he's right here on the screen. You can see him in this spot right here as he clears through the middle of the field. And as basically this is what you call a zone coverage. where you have there's a little bit of seam, Marshall. You know that little seam right down the outside part of the hash. Nobody in that space. You just got to locate football.
17-yard field goal is good, and the Tiger Cats on the board first as Mark Leggio knocks through his first points of the season. Just a couple of minutes in, and all those jugs reps that you take in training camp to get ready for the preseason, and then you get one laid up in the end zone. And, we'll be back to Hamilton in just a moment. Well, your Grey Cup MVP, Nick Arbuckle, back under center here today against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The last time we saw him, he was just ripping it up and down the field out there in BC Place.
I think he did great in that football game, and he understood what to do. Winnipeg dropping everybody in coverage. He found the seams in the defense. He was able to take a lot of underneath throws. Yes, he had 2 interceptions. One of them was a tip ball by Willie Jefferson. So I thought he played great in the Grey Cup. He's going to have to help this Argos team early here.
Handed off inside to give it to Deontay McMahon, getting his first touch, and that's close to a first down. Looks like it'll just be shy. But Arbuckle, 31 years old. Hard to believe when I'm prepping for this game, getting back into the flow of things, and how many years have guys been? 9th year? Like, how has Nick Arbuckle been in the CFL for 9 years?
And, you know, the biggest thing with him is he's got a 10-15 career record. Watching his stats and see what he's done, 27 touchdowns, 32 interceptions. Yeah. If he can clean up the interceptions, I think teams are going to really trust to make him the guy to run the organization and be their starter.
And 2nd and 1, handed off inside. Deontay McMahon running hard through contact as they cross the 55 and already into Hamilton territory. But McMahon,
at 5'8", 185, he's bringing everything he's got. All 185. He drops his shoulder, gives a little stiff arm. It has a great shot.
That'll be a fun one to watch on film.
Jonathan Moxey. Not for Jonathan Moxey, the boys. They're going to go, that 5'8", 185 guy put you down.
Get the ball, little jump cut, stiff arm. Wilson gets to the outside, run through Moxey. Ooh, that's a good couple of reps for Deontay McMahon. And Wilson gives it right back to him. Gain of 1 that time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Deontay McMahon. He had 288 yards last season, 4 touchdowns, but he also had 30 catches. So he gives you a guy who's very multiple. Obviously, he can make you miss in a phone booth. Wilson does a good job as an unblocked linebacker at the point of attack, making that tackle. But McMahon's been a really good football player for the Argonauts.
Kind of had that feel, right, when you're doing Grey Cup Saturday and you go, who's going to be the one that makes the difference? Well, McMahon was pretty instrumental in everything that happened back last November in Vancouver. 2nd down and 9. Arbuckle looks to his right and rips this one. Bobbled. Looks like they'll call it a catch right around the 45-yard line.
You know, in this area of the field, to put them in 3rd and 5, you know, sometimes you're like, well, geez, you know, you didn't throw it to the first down marker. You got to, what's going to happen? Why didn't you throw it farther here? Well, you know, you're trying to see with the wind, do we get an opportunity? Those 7 yards gives us an opportunity to kick the field goal. And now the official is saying it's now incomplete. But sometimes those are good completions. This area of the field gives you an opportunity to at least get 3 points. But you can't drop the football, put yourself in bad situations.
So Derek Sluka unable to hang on to it. Looked like a bit of a bobble, and it hits the turf as the command center gets in and corrects things as quickly as possible. As the Hamilton fans are out like it's Labor Day. All painted. I saw it, you know, I talk about it being chilly. We're up here in the booth. The wind is whipping at the top of Hamilton Stadium, and I saw a bunch of teenagers coming in earlier that no shirts, just painted on jerseys.
Love it.
Well, yeah,
love it.
That screams September. And here we are in late May. And as this one booted down the 5-yard line, going to the wide side. It's a 45-yard punt. Big stiff arm as well, getting pushed out of bounds. But the physicality on cue. Isaiah Wooden trying to make a name for himself. A couple of returners back. Wooden gets his opportunity and makes the most of it. Little stiff arm into the sideline. 3-0 Hamilton. It's inevitable if you're a Hamilton Tiger Cats quarterback. quarterback that much of what you're remembered for is going to be games against the Toronto Argonauts. This is not how Bo Levi Mitchell wanted to be remembered in black and gold, suffering an injury back in 2023. But then 2024, much different story, including an explosive Labor Day Classic here at home at Hamilton Stadium. A couple of big touchdown shots in the first quarter to Tim White, and 3-0 against these Argonauts. The Argos team that only had 4 losses against the East Division last year. 3 of them were to the black and gold as they script up a quick throw, screened out to Kenny Lawler, getting him as much love as possible early on in this one, and rightfully so, because one of your keys, obviously, Lapo, going into this game is we got our starters in, we got our big name guys in, our free agency acquisitions. Let's get them some love, get them into the flow of the game as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and you're going to want to make sure that Kenny gets touches whenever you get opportunities to, and certainly last year with so many, they have 4 receivers in the top 20 receiving. You add Kenny Lawler to this mix. Now you've got plenty of weapons for Bo Levi Mitchell to play with.
Play action fake and try to find Greg Bell on the sideline, but also it's just a tease to see Kenny Lawler lined up across from Tavares McFadden and go, oh man, Labor Day feels like it's going to be here in a day.
Yeah, and one thing I would say, we started about Bo Levi Mitchell, you know, he had such great stats last year. Why? Because he played 17 games.
Yeah.
You know, he played the most football games of any starting quarterback in the Canadian Football League. So obviously the Ticats did a great job protecting him, giving him opportunities. That's the key for this football team. It's key for any team. You can't get your quarterback hurt, but coming off the year you talked about where he was injured the year before, really good making sure he kept playing football.
Nick Constantino will hang this one up into the Hamilton wind, and there's Janarian Grant. He can go anywhere, anytime. Preseason, postseason, regular season, and this time he goes backwards. And a big tackle down the field made after a 47-yard punt. As Devin Verzuk,
there we go,
second overall pick. How about that?
Using that speed of his.
In the hammer on specials. Well, from an explosive East semi to a devastating East final, of course, the injury that ended Chad Kelly's season, and still trying to sort out exactly when he is coming back. It's a pleasure to say for the first time in 2025, down to the sidelines, and Matthew Shinetti.
Good to hear your voice too, Marshall. Yeah, it's been about 7-8 months since Chad Kelly gruesomely injured his leg in the East final in Montreal, but he is on the field at Argos training camp doing individual drills. He is throwing, and there is an expectation that that will progress as camp goes on. Now, whether or not Chad Kelly starts on the 1 game to start the season or the 6-game injured list is still a topic that's being discussed inside the Argos organization. And as for who will start the season right now, well, certainly we're seeing Nick Arbuckle getting the inside edge, and the one thing that Ryan Dinwiddie has said is there is potential that there will be a package thrown in also for Cameron Dukes. But as you've already mentioned, the way that Nick Arbuckle has led this team, particularly being the most outstanding player of the Grey Cup, the Argos are in good hands knowing that they will be without Chad Kelly to start the season, at least for a little bit, guys.
Thank you, Matthew. As Nick Arbuckle stands in on a little play fake to Deontay McMahon, now flings it sidearm, and David Unger makes the catch up at the 40 and wrangled down at the 42-yard line. But Arbuckle makes enough plays like that, and he's going to, no question, start the season as the starter.
Yeah, a little play action, and the best thing about Nick, he can use his legs and pushes the ball outside, jumps outside when he feels a little bit pressure to the inside, uses his feet, keeps his shoulders square. Unger coming in on the dig, hits a nice throw to him. You know, I think the Toronto Argonauts offensive schemes last year were outstanding to play 3 different quarterbacks and still be first in the Canadian Football League in scoring. Marshall, hats off to what they did from a coaching staff perspective last year.
28.6 points per game for the Argonauts through all that adversity. Is now DeJon Brissett. Touchdown in the Grey Cup. Gets his first touch here, sliding down in front of that Toronto bench, but all the way up at the Hamilton 50-yard line.
Nice catch here by Brissett, and this is what we talk about with Nick Arbuckle. And very intelligent football player from my time working with him, understands schemes, concepts. He will come in and say, hey, I got a couple of things I'd like to show you. I think this will work. You kind of like that in your quarterback. You want your quarterback to be an extension of the coaches. You know, give advice on how he wants things to run. Has a good understanding of when to check the ball down. So keep this offense, give him as much stuff as possible to allow this offense to expand.
Handed off inside McMahon, and the Tiger Cats, I don't think they were real happy about getting getting gashed by 24 for the first couple of plays defensively on that last drive as they shut that one down quickly. Just a gain of 2.5. But yeah, Arbuckle, you want to call him the ultimate insurance blanket at this point, but then you start going, well, Fajardo's a backup, McLeod Bethel-Thompson's a backup. You want me to go around the entire league? So there's a lot of good number twos.
And obviously, you understand with how many injuries happen each year, you have to have somebody with experience from the number 2 spot. And, fresh changes for a lot of those guys. Jake Mayer is another one, right? Gets an opportunity to go to Saskatchewan.
Taylor Powell here in Hamilton as well. It's blitz on as Arbuckle throws right into the blitz, and it's David Unger. Catches it, but short of the first down marker. And we'll see how much fun the Argonauts special teams unit or Ryan Dinwiddie on offense want to have at this point, as they'll keep the offense on. Staring down third and 4 yards to go.
Yeah, a little bit long for a field goal. This situation here, hey, I got an opportunity. It's 3rd and 3 to 4. It's too long for a field goal with the wind in our face. Hey, let's go for it. Let's take an opportunity. The defense won't be in too bad because we're in decent field position here. So this is a good call statistically. Give yourself an opportunity to convert on 3rd and 3.
Devontae Coxie and Davaris Daniels to the top of your screen. Dejon Brissett, David Unger, and they'll blow this one dead, as I'm about to say. Derek Sluka was also to the left, but
trying to disguise, right?
Toronto.
Okay, what they're trying to do there is like, hey, we're not going to run a play. You don't even tell the offensive lineman to play, so nobody jumps off sides. You hard count 3 or 4 times, you motion, and you hopefully get people to jump off sides. Too many people have been doing that, so everybody sees it nowadays.
A good test for the defensive line, even just the front 7 in general, though. You take all those reps, and it goes wrong in practice and training camp. What do? Well, you run. It happens in this. It's like, oh, you got to hear about it the entire rest of the game. So
it goes the other way. Sometimes I've been on that where you call that play and you don't even tell the offensive lineman to play, and they jump off sides. You say, why did you jump off sides? You didn't even have a play to run.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
And now they'll play as Hamilton shows a 6-man rush. Quick out route and knocked down. And who was that flying in off the edge? Looked like it's 97, Isaiah Bagna. Yeah, it was.
Draft pick from this season.
Yeah, 9th overall at a BYU, as he gets that 6'2" frame up in the way of Grey Cup MVP Nick Arbuckle and knocks this one down. Tiger Cats ball when we return. A massive addition to the Hamilton Tiger Cats offense. We saw it right away as they tried to go down the field to him. Kenny Lawler has made the jump into the East Division here and should play a big impact on the season. But back in Winnipeg when he first came in, Lapo, you're going, this guy's going to be nothing.
Yeah, very funny story. 2018, he comes in. He's an NFL late cut, so we were allowed to bring some players in. You can tell, Marshall, in the first day he was there, he was going to be something special.
And he has been for them as, they tried to go backside to Lawler, digging that one out of the turf, and was he able to? No, they'll say incomplete.
So. And I can remember it clear as day.
The field is an incomplete pass.
After practice one day, they said, hey, we got a couple of new guys you got to look at. This guy, Kenny Lawler, is big. He's got good hands. And I'm telling you, Marshall, the agents tell you that. The personnel guys tell you that. And you never believe them. You're like, oh, no, this guy's not. And then when he showed up, he made 3 catches that first day that were spectacular. And you knew he had tools.
We're making him ever since. Now Tim White gets a chance as Bo maybe got out the pitching wedge when he could have used a 7.
A little bit of wind in his back, but good vision by Bo, recognizing, hey, there's a one-on-one down to the short side of the field, and Tim White's got a waggle, and he can run right by the low defenders. He sees the blitz on the inside, runs right by, just misses it a little bit. But, obviously, Bo Levi Mitchell's seen so many blitzes and pressures. You just got to make sure you hit those shots when you get those opportunities.
In all seriousness, for Tiger Cats fans, you'd love to see Bo and Tim White get onto the same page quicker, because the 0-5 start last year, that was part of the frustration in it all. So, Janarian Grant, after a 54-yard punt, bit of an awkward tackle, but Grant up onto his feet, and and making his way back to the Argonauts sideline. Great coverage once again from Hamilton's special teams unit.
Outstanding coverage coming down here. Janarian Grant, special teams player of the year last year. Don't let him get started. Excellent play. Amazing on the inside. Making that play over there. Okay. Knight.
Yep, Quantrez Knight out of UCLA. First year up here in the Canadian Football League.
So all these names, these new guys, you're like, who's this guy? What's he doing? This is where they get reps on special teams. You want, if you're covering punts, you want a lot of punts in that football game. You want the offense not doing anything, so you can get out there and you can go, hey, I can cover these guys. You want linebackers who can run downfield, okay, and cover these great returners. That's how you make a team when you're a young football player.
Empty out for Arbuckle here on first down is quick release. And once again, complete to Derek Sluka as he continues to add to his tally. He's actually listed as the 4th string slot back in this football game, but he's been getting plenty of reps early on, a couple of catches.
Yeah, he's our 3rd receiver, and, you know, Nick Arbuckle's recognizing coverage too. Brent Munson, for some reasons, coming out and saying, hey, it's preseason, but I'm going to blitz you guys.
Set the tone, Brent.
Yeah, he's got 3 straight blitzes, and Nick Arbuckle's seeing it. Nice throw on the outside. It's got to be nice and quick to get the ball into your hands. But Brent Munson is bringing it, defensive coordinator of the Tiger Cats.
And it was almost with the Argonauts. Couldn't get the contract worked out. Ends up here in Hamilton after leaving Calgary after last season. Disappointing for the Stamps. He's going backwards here. Devontae Coxie trying to find a way out of this mess. And Hamilton's defense rallies. He goes backwards on 2nd and 1.
Devontae Coxie doesn't do this often, Marshall, have negative yardage catches. He was the leading
I thought you were going to say catch slants.
Exactly. Yeah. Leading deep ball receiver in the CFL last year. Averaged 20 yards per catch. Good read and throw, but really, Kenson Tonis does a spectacular job of just saying, hey, listen, it's 2nd and 1. Drive. Make sure we stop him. Stop the momentum so we can't turn upfield and force a negative yardage play on a 2nd and 1. So really good by the Ticats defense.
Trapped from all angles that time for Devontae Coxie. Like you say, he's usually just one-on-one down the sideline, but it's...
Yeah, I mean, that was a great re-signing for them last year. You got a big target that Nick Arbuckle can throw to, Chad Kelly can throw to. You know, that's what you want. You want a guy who's big, run downfield, come out of comebacks at that boundary number 1, and he's spectacular.
Shows how much they respect him, too, that he was the 2nd re-signing of their official offseason when free agency was making its way through the cold months of December, January. Impression he shows in the offseason?
I crushed that show, but I can't give away. There's something dramatic happened I can't talk about on there with Last of Us. I don't know if everybody's caught up on it.
Don't spoil it.
Keep quiet. Back to football.
But Levi Mitchell hands it off. Greg Bell, nice little jump cut that time, and stuffed in the middle of that defense. Man that's held it down for a while. Anytime he's been asked to, Jack Cassaro to Carleton, 5th year, former 11th overall pick back in 2020, still doing the thing in middle.
Yeah, and one thing Scott Milanovich, when he took over as head coach, he said, I think running the football, we have to have bigger tight ends. We have to do more things to run the football because too many teams are playing coverage. He said, I got to make sure I get enough run game on 1st and 10 to put ourselves in a situation where we can really make it easier on the quarterback.
First time here, we've seen a little bit of Keandre Smith, Brendan O'Leary Orange into the game, Shamar Bridges in as well, but this one goes to a name that you'll expect to have plenty of his name called throughout the year. Once again, Kenny Lawler.
Kenny Lawler on the catch. This is the exact same football play that the Toronto Argonauts just threw to Devontae Coxie. So puts them in a 3rd and short situation. As we know, it's going to be 1.5 for 2. They're going to substitute, get all the big guys in.
Casey Sales checks into the ball game. Lawler to the sideline.
Defensive player going in when the short yardage game.
Somebody fixed Lawler's shoulder pad there, man. Thing's been hanging out the entire first quarter.
Casey Sales playing fullback in a 2-point stance. There we go.
Bo Levi hasn't been under center since high school. And running right into a wall is Greg Bell. Flag came up on the play. And for now, Toronto is held, but were they offside?
As they go in, you know, when you're in these short yardage situations, you're trying to bring more people to the point of attack. Casey Sales to the point of attack.
Offside on the defense. 5-yard penalty results in a 1st down.
And again, on 3rd and 1, that's what you're always working on. Somebody at the bottom of the screen, somebody should be saying, hey, we got to make sure as we do this, there's got to always be a line. I think it's going to be right there. And usually the end man of line of scrimmage should be saying, hey, make sure we're onside, and that's one of those 3rd and 1 things you're working on preseason. You got to make sure you're working on all those situations. Don't give up a free first down here.
Coachable moment right there as Toronto sends the blitz. Bo over the middle, Kenny Lawler, and held on to it. Smack at the end of that play, laid down by Darius Bratton coming over from the Edmonton Elks, but Lawler once again hauled in.
Really good trust by Bo Levi Mitchell. To his right, there is some pressure. He trusts it's picked up. He knows there's a zone for Kenny Lawler. As soon as Kenny Lawler wraps the will linebacker, he throws to his big target, his new toy. And obviously, this is going to happen a lot because it's already happened a ton in this game.
And the fact that Bo and Lawler are already on the same page with a throw that's timing-based is encouraging, you would have to think, for Hamilton fans, as this time Mitchell hands it off inside, gain of a couple. Lawler 3 catches, 20 yards at this point in the ball game, as Greg Bell gets his 4th carry of the ball.
You know, I really think one of the things that, like with Tim White, you talked about Shamar Bridges. You know, you got Drew Wolotarski coming into the building in a leadership role. So I like some of the things that Ted Gavaya did in the free agency in this offseason to bring some other players in. He loved Wolotarski's leadership. He thought he could make this room, some of the younger players, better professionals.
Mitchell rushed and has to get it out of his hands, and Bell gets as much yardage as he can. Also kind of interesting to see Hamilton working a little bit of that muddle huddle, right, and trying to operate from the line of scrimmage and let Bo Levi Mitchell do what he does best, which is get everybody lined up in the right spot, use the veteran savvy as the man at the helm for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, going into this season hoping he can launch his way up the all-time record books as well. We'll talk about that as we go throughout the next 3 quarters. 1 down to kick off 2025 between the Argos and Tiger Cats in Hamilton. The numbers after 1 between the double blue and the black and gold is fairly even, feeling each other out just like you would expect here in the preseason. Nice for everybody to start kind of knocking off the rust. Lapo getting back into the swing of things, obviously, but Bo Levi Mitchell, for him to be here and playing and potentially playing into halftime, maybe beyond halftime, that's because they want to set the tone for this entire season, and obviously they'd like to see him not only have a successful year, but potentially climb up the record books as he goes throughout the year as well. Yeah, they had a slow start last season. I don't think that's all Bo Levi Mitchell, but you know, you look at this career, look at these numbers, look at these people here, that he's at 12th and will continue to climb the ranks, especially working with Scott Milanovic in this system. I love the receiving core they have around here for him now, so you could expect him to jump up pretty high in this group, and we'll see where he ends up. Is he going to catch Clements on the first throw of the regular season? I don't know. He's probably disappointed he wasn't in 11th by the time he got things going, but Milanovic trying to dial it up for him here this season. 3rd down to open up the 2nd quarter as Mitchell looks to the right now, goes over the top, and again, him and Tim White just feeling things out, trying to understand the way they're both seeing coverage. Yeah, and this is what happens sometimes. This is a post route by Tim White, and sometimes on post routes, you give those receivers the opportunity to go, hey, if that defender's too far inside you, I know we've told you to run a post to the middle field, but just go over the top of the player. That's what Bo threw, if you see that. He threw it outside, expecting Tim White to go outside too, because sometimes just because you call a post, Marshall, you don't run a post. Well, the problem is I've seen all you pro football people in your playbooks, and you have 1,000 different dotted lines. Dotted lines mean confusion. No, we try not to do that. But you know, more back to Bo Levi. You know, I remember having a conversation with him, and he was so appreciative of Scott Milanovic's honesty. And he says, when I wasn't playing well, here's what happened. He brought me in, showed me clips, and said, you got to play better. Nick Arbuckle, after the turnover on downs, rips it outside. Perfect throw from Arbuckle, and Deontay McMahon refusing to go out of bounds. Takes a couple of tacklers to push him out up at about the 48-yard line. This is what you love about Nick Arbuckle. Reads the coverage. 2 people go deep. Everybody lifts with those 2 deep people. So what's he do? Throws underneath to McMahon for a nice first down. Again, McMahon had 30 catches last year. You love getting athletes like this the ball in space.
it's a good opportunity to watch him run around a little bit and get some extra playing time.
Yeah, as you say, like 5'8", 185, and just every play it seems like he's dropping the shoulder and fighting for more. As again, Hamilton comes to the blitz. Arbuckle gets rid of it. Dejon Brissett across the 50, bounces off a second and a third tackler, and Casey sails all the way back from his defensive line spot, helping finally bring down Dejon Brissett, the former second overall pick.
Two things I want to talk about. Praise for those guys picking it up. Deontay McMahon, did you see that? He blocked the middle linebacker in the hole. All 180 pounds got in there, and then that's what happens when blitz. Nick Arbuckle trusted it, saw it, throws it out to Brissett, and again, you're in trouble when you're in a one-on-one situation. Brissett makes a miss to get the big extra yardage.
I think McMahon just did the old, sometimes it's there to be a speed bump and a stop sign. On the block is now perfectly timed throw and slashing through coverage. And it's Herji Mayala making the play as the 2019 drafted receivers come alive. 8th overall to Calgary, and now here in Toronto.
Once again, there's extra people coming on a blitz. You'll see the free player to the right. What does that mean? Nobody can cover him. Nick Arbuckle gets the ball out of his hands quickly. I guess Brent Munson did look at some blitz packages in the offseason. He's been waiting to play them and show them early. Defense coordinator of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But great reads by Nick. You know, Nick's getting the ball in his hand, recognizing the pictures, keeping them on the field.
MVP looks like mid-season form somehow here in the first preseason game as he flips it underneath. And a big collision that time. Did the ball pop out as well as Coxie was the one who hauled it in. Ryan Hunter trying to dig it out, but for now, it's in the hands of Tywin Garbett, one of the many Blue Bombers who came over with Ted Gavaya, coming to the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
There's a catch and a fumble.
And they'll say Hamilton football. Arbuckle flips it underneath, punched out from behind. That's loose.
One of the things that needed to be done better by this Hamilton Tiger Cats defense was taking the football away. And what do? How does that happen? Sometimes when you hit hard and fast, you got Garbett here. Spectacular hit from behind, comes with speed, comes with power, goes to strip the football. And that's what this defense needs to do more of to help this offense this season.
Dustin Talbert coming down from his boundary halfback position as well. Stavros Katsantonis had the first lick that was laid. And so Bo Levi Mitchell gets possession back after turnover on downs in the last possession. Keandre Smith makes the grab here, spins away from Jack Cassar. As Keandre, career high 933 yards last season, 7 touchdowns in 2024 after having none the previous season.
Yeah, and a 4th-round draft pick's done very well for this football team, and somebody that I really felt that, you know, really had a good relationship with Bo Levi Mitchell as the season went on, right?
Certainly built up his confidence in his quarterback, and as Bo stayed healthy throughout the year, Keandre Smith got more and more looks. Lots of motion for him, as you see on this play as well. They'll hand it off. Bell thought about going down the middle, found some breathing room, and slashes his way to the 39-yard line. That is a first down for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who have had many changes in this offseason, of course, spurred by the hiring of their new general manager, Ted Gavaya.
Yeah, you know, and for Ted, his scenario was, I'm not a player in free agency. He talked about in the offseason, but he said there were a few pieces we had to get into the building. We already talked about Kenny Lawler. Drew Wolotarski, his leadership he thought would be good. Julian Hauser, his gut relationship with his defensive coordinator, Brent Munson. So they were able to get a bunch of pieces to bring into the building and get better.
The Tiger Cats churning out the yards.
And one of the guys that we didn't get a chance to talk about right there is Big 66, Liam Dobson. Offensive lineman came over from the Bombers. And that's an interesting thing. You know, you see a general manager leave one organization, come to another one. Well, he's got a relationship, one with the agents, one with the football player. So you're always going to see a number of players from that previous organization. That's why you see 5 Winnipeg Blue Bombers on this roster. And not just, you know, Johnny Augustine was a signing, right? You get a lot of guys that, you know, can help Ted understand what he's trying to build here.
Augustine just got his first touch of the ballgame. Now he gets his second and running hard across the 50. Augustine 2 for 2. One of those former Bombers and pushed out of bounds. And 6 years with Winnipeg, 5 of those 6. He had never less than 25 carries, 65. He was the model of consistency as the number 2.
Watch him recognize coverage, bounces it outside. So what the defense collapsed on the perimeter. You don't have any contain. Really good recognition by him, recognizing the outside. Contain was lost, bounce it outside. Good speed, Johnny Augustine. I loved coaching this guy for a couple years in Winnipeg. Impressive young man. And a really good football player.
Averaging 17 yards per carry on his first 2 of the season. So keep that up and he might have the starting job. But brought down this time at the 30-yard line, gain of just a few. The Tiger Cats working the left side of that offensive line as Brandon Revenberg, the veteran, 10th year at a Grand Valley State. Hard to imagine that Rev has already been in Hamilton for a decade, but continues to be a contender for most outstanding lineman year over year, and they are pushing that left side right now with the running game.
And back to Johnny Augustine. I mean, for me, to be a coach and have a veteran pass protector, running back on your roster, that's a national. You love having that opportunity. It gives you so much roster flexibility. If there's an injury, he could possibly play games for you.
Out of the hand quickly here for Mitchell and unable to turn upfield, but once again into the hands of Johnny Augustine, and it will be 3rd down. And Bo already saying, hey, just stay on the sideline, guys. It's fine. We didn't get the last one. Give me another shot.
I think it's going to be a little too long for that.
I think Scott Milanovic just wants to take the points. You know, preseason, that's what really matters, is taking the field goals.
Hey, we gotta see, evaluate everything. We gotta check the field, special teams coordinator. Hey, we gotta watch the guys.
We got bodies.
We gotta watch the guys covering, right?
Did you guys hear field goal 1 or field goal 2?
We got the big guys in.
Yeah. Make sure everybody gets off the sideline. Play clock doesn't run down. You know, all the boring stuff, that the way that football games are won.
It's not boring. Never boring.
Arlegio 1 for 1 so far, and thrashes this one through the uprights. And Hamilton adds to their insurmountable preseason lead. Up 6-0 is Constantino. Nice hold right there. Blowing around in this typical Hamilton breeze. Legio powers it through. Hergy Mayala on the Toronto Argonauts sideline, as plenty of changes for Toronto this season as well, and many of them going out the door, specifically to Edmonton, who just decided to absolutely raid the champion Argos.
For the 2nd year in a row, the Argonauts are decimated, and a lot of changes on that defensive side of the ball. And I talked to John Murphy this week, and one of the things he said is, like, listen, the coaches do have to have this understanding. When we re-sign Wynton McManus, when we bring Cameron Judge in, we cannot keep everyone. So we have to be able to make sure that we put ourselves in a position where we can play some younger football players. Hey, if you want to keep all those great players, you're going to have to play a young halfback. You're going to have to play one young receiver, and you're not going to be able to keep everybody. And as Dwayne Ford would like to say, the pointing game is going on right now of who is offside.
This is one of those that they're actually trying to take a look at this year, the over-the-top pointing and dancing at players.
Offside, Hamilton number 9, 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Ryan Hunter saw it, jumped out of his stance, started pointing. If it goes over and above, this year they will actually be throwing an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for people making a show of somebody jumping like Kymon Garbutt did right there.
Yeah, and certainly the player on offense supposedly has the ability to protect himself. So as soon as they see them jump, they step back and say, I got the protection, and it draws the penalty.
Blitz coming again here on first down. Arbuckle gets rid of it. And looks like Hergy Mayala spinning his way down. Tackled by DQ Thomas, working at that weak side linebacker spot, number 20 in the black and gold.
Throwing into the blitz, very good thing to do. Nick Arbuckle sees pressure from his left. Sees pressure coming over from the left-hand side. You'll see a pressure right here. Mayala replaces that space. That's where the ball goes. Nice throw. Gets underneath coverage on that zone blitz. Good recognition. Nice catch by Hergy. He's been to a lot of places now. This is his 5th team. He's been on.
Ball's out. And was out. Thrower, did it pop out on the big hit as Arbuckle lost control. And they'll call it incomplete. But Hamilton's defense defense all over that one. As you see the Guardian cap being worn there by number 91 Miles Fox for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in game.
Yeah, Miles Fox, the guy, the Argonauts are trying to hold up. Left guard gets beat, and that's what you call a set. This is called what you call a jump set, Marshall, where you engage the guy right now. Well, sometimes you miss on that player, and Fox is quick inside at the defensive line position. Those guys are very quick, even though they're the bigger guys. And again, it happens so quickly on the inside. So really nice play by Fox. Almost caused the fumble.
And it looks like, did Tywin Garbutt jump again, or did Ryan Hunter slide out of his stance? Tom Valesi is our referee.
Procedure, Toronto number 62, 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Karma of the universe got Ryan Hunter.
Right there. So when you go on a hard count, right, you got to keep communicating, make sure you're all on the same page. You're going to try to slow the defensive line down, but sometimes you're going to hurt yourself and put you in 2nd and 16, which is not a lot of calls on the call sheet. Very low conversion percentage right here.
Ryan Hunter, 4th year to Bowling Green. First round pick for the Argonauts, as this time Arbuckle just slings it into the general vicinity of DeMonte Coxie. Incomplete. 3rd down, and the Argonauts will have to punt.
Yeah, with more pressure from Brent Munson, so I guess they want to evaluate some of their defensive players and what they can do in some of their zone blitz packages. Nick Arbuckle does a good job just trying to get the ball out of his hands before the pressure comes. Talking with Mike Miller, quarterback coach, who, last year he did an impressive job with 3 different quarterbacks trying to get them ready. And early in the season, that football team, the Argonauts, were a run-the-football team. Very little explosive plays. Chad Kelly comes back. Here comes the big play. Starts coming back. And then they finish with Arbuckle in the breakup.
Jeremy Edwards out of Eastern Kentucky lobs this one up into the Hamilton Stadium sky as flags fly as well on a 42-yard punt. And there will be a no yards penalty
15-yard penalty
against the Argonauts. Goes against Quincy Moget as a beautiful, chilly, windy evening here in Hamilton, but a perfect way to kick off the 2025 CFL preseason. Well, the dangers of the preseason, obviously the biggest fear for anybody getting involved in a contest to sharpen their skills at a training camp is to have an injury. And for the Toronto Argonauts, as Brian Cox, you see at the top left corner of your screen there, he was carried away. Officially, the word from Toronto is just a lower body injury at this point, but pregame injury, never fun. 6 sacks last year for Saskatchewan. Hope that he would have an impact on this Argonauts defense. We'll get more information as time goes on, but a frustrating one for Toronto to set the tone as Tim White makes the grab here. It looks like that'll be good enough for a first down, but for Coxon, you talked about the defensive line, even the panel back in studio pregame, the Argonauts losing Jake Serezna, Robbie Smith's gone. It's like Cox was one of the names that everybody was going, hey, yeah, he's got to be the guy for us, as you see the co-defensive coordinators there, and Kevin Ivan and Jason Shivers and Whitten McManus watching on from the sidelines here tonight, but hoping that Cox is healthy and can get on the field for the start of the season.
Yeah, and you just said 6 sacks last year. Big shoes to fill for Flo Orimolade, who's moved on back to Calgary. Hopefully he's okay and can continue to play this season.
Mitchell rolls to his right, but looks downfield, and scramble rules are on like a walk in the park. Mitchell to Lawler.
This is the best thing about having a veteran quarterback. He feels protection go down. I start feeling a little bit of pressure to my right side. I'm going to cop out, move to his right, wait for Kenny Lawler to come back. What you call scramble rules. The deep route's going to come back to him right on the sideline at the first down marker. Keep it moving, keep the chains moving.
Again, you really get the sense that Lawler and Mitchell are on the same page with just about everything right now, which is crazy because they haven't played together before. But I mean, whether it be timing routes or scramble rules in between coverage.
And you can see a little bit with Keandre Smith making this catch here on the sideline for an 8-yard gain. What Scott Milanovic and company want to do? They want to get in these sets to run the football, and when they run the football. All of a sudden, here comes these play-action shots. There's a deep ball potential there. He took the underneath throw to put themselves in second and short. Give them good opportunity to run the football if they want.
Mitchell hands it off. Greg Bell, jump cut again. Strong part of his game, picks up the first down on 2nd and 3. So playbook wide open. Inside 5 minutes remaining in this first half, with Mitchell in the offense already into Toronto territory.
You know, you go back to Brian Cox, and you know, this defense did so well last year sacking the quarterback, Marshall. You know, and that's going to be interesting to see how do they get. You know, they got DeMarcus Christmas in now. Derek Parrish is a very good football player. I'm excited about him as defensive end. So it'll be interesting if they can keep the sack totals like they did last year.
Well, Mitchell gets hit as he throws this one. Flag comes up as Bo onto his feet. And it looks like it'll be a hold going against the Tiger Cats. So back them up here on the first down incompletion, or will they decline? No, Ryan Dinwiddie wants to back it up.
Once again, a play-action pass as Bo goes to scramble. A little bit of hit. Fans kind of want a penalty. Not going to get one.
Not good for Bo to take a hit or two in the preseason too, though, right? You can't go into week 1 without having been touched.
You know, and sometimes those holding calls are going to come when you're moving around too much. The quarterback has to scramble too much. Offensive linemen don't know where they are, tend to hold, back you up, put you in first and extra now.
I'm sure Bo agrees. Just what he wants is more hits on that body after a long, tenured, successful career. This one nearly thrown directly into the face mask of number 91, Anthony Lanier, the second, who mentioned his names and turnover and all the rest. He was the one that got the hit on Bo, and then looked like that almost went square into the 9-1.
Another new player into the organization, right, over from the Riders. Does a great job. He's standing up tall. Sometimes when you can't get to the quarterback, just throw your hands up, try to make a play. Almost gets the big man interception that everybody loves in the Canadian football. Big man interceptions and big man touchdowns.
6'5",
that's what people are asking for.
Yeah. Bo on 2nd and 20. Dances to the right, sets his feet, throws this one into a tight window. Tried to go right off the ear in coverage. Daniel Kwamu couldn't make it work.
Daniel Cuomo is in a really good position to make a play on the ball. I believe I can't really see him as he moves, so he's just trying to throw this ball. This is what you do. You take your big player, you throw a dig in the middle of the field, and hopefully he's over the top of the linebackers. But it's kind of hard how far he went in. Cuomo's right there. You can't see him from the quarterback position. You can't see him because he's too far to his left.
You can tell the confidence flowing for Mitchell, though, as he's throwing that one about 3 windows ahead. As this one, flag comes in, likely no yards against Knight on a 47-yard punt. As we look back at Deshaun Amos and the success that he had with the Toronto Argonauts, of course, in the Grey Cup and making plays all season long, but he swapped out the double blue and decided to make a trip down the QEW. Matthew Shinetti has more.
Well, you did go ahead and mention that the Argos couldn't keep everybody, and Deshaun Amos, who did have an interception in that Grey Cup in BC last year, was one of the casualties as the Argos were adjusting their cap to keep Whit McManus. And as I was speaking to some of the Hamilton Tiger Cat fans who were wearing new Deshaun Amos jerseys, there was an interesting little message that he wrote on one of the jerseys, and that is the universal Ticat message of Argos suck. Now, as an intrepid journalist, I did show those images to the Argos to see what their reaction might be. There were a few snickers, a few shaking heads, and a few of the players would look at me and say, oh, that's how it is, guys.
Well, first of all, I would like to say Matthew Shinetti is an intrepid journalist. He does a lot of great work. That might not be one of the best assignments he's ever had, but you know what? We won't hold it against him here in the preseason. We've hit the 3-minute warning. Hamilton leads 6-0 over the Argonauts.
We realize it is only preseason, but we requested the 3-minute warning because we need to get into regular season form here. We got a big halftime coming up. By the way, if you didn't know, these two have lost their voices because they were coaching in the CFC Prospects game. The talent on display, oh my goodness.
Second to none, baby. And you call what he was doing coaching? I don't know about it.
Milt is never going to let Chelsea live that.
Milt Stegall with another win, 2 in a row.
Cam Dukes is in the ball game for Toronto. Takes a big hit in the backfield. Is this one? Looks like it is intercepted. It is for Hamilton. So Cam Dukes comes into the game, takes a massive hit, and throws an interception. Man, that could not have started any worse for Cam.
Yeah, Cameron Dukes, he's trying to take the shot down the wide side of the field on the sideline. The corner's in a low position, but you got to see the halfback. He's in an easy position to get there to make the play. You've got to make sure you can't put that much air on it. I know the field's very wide, but you can't give Destin Talbert that opportunity to make the play. This is a good young football player that they found last year. Made a lot of plays for this football team. And again, just don't put the ball up that high in a dangerous position with a high safety on that side or halfback on that side.
Yeah, looking for Dorian Anderson, who just checked into the ball game as well. So Toronto swapped out Harbaugh and a variety of players. But Tom Valesi says they will review. Reffing the quarterback is Ryan Dinwiddie, very unhappy with that lower body collision, so they'll take a look at it. Didn't catch the number of the player that spun inside that time and ended up down around the knees of Cam Dukes.
Yeah, and as we know, in the pocket, you know, when you're rushing the passer, you have got to do everything in your power as a defensive lineman to not touch the quarterback below the at or below the knees. That's going to draw the 15-yard penalty if you do. Okay, Julian Hauser. So they're now trying to see whether this contact initiated, was it up high enough or was it below the knees? And there's that great catch by Talbert. Goes up and get it. Take it at the highest point. Don't let the receiver make it.
They found something special, I think, in Destin Talbert based on the way that he played for them last year at a North Dakota State. 11
pass knockdowns, 4th in the Canadian Football League. Made a lot of plays last year for this defense.
And Dinwiddie already into the play call sheet. I think he's anticipating that that interception by Talbert will be wiped off the books as Scott Milanovic looks things over as well. Okay, now it's officially CFL season. We got a Sharpie top in the mouth.
We got both coaches looking at their call sheets, right? What play to call next? There's got to be a win on here somewhere.
It's not CFL.
It's got to be a completion
until somebody's chewing on the top of a Sharpie. We're so back. Talbot talking it over with his defensive backs, and honestly, I'm just glad to see that Cam Dukes is in good spirits and laughing that one off, because that was a quarterbacks. You hate seeing players spin to the inside like that and get down around the ankles. As Tom Valesi has the call from the command center on the potential roughing the passer.
After review, we have roughing the passer, Hamilton number 95. Be a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And the first Argos Ticats boos of the season ring around Hamilton Stadium. Speaking of being back.
Yeah, and certainly the league talked about in the rules committee this year. They did want to help the rushers in some way, the guys rushing the passer, if there is an opportunity where you are pushed into the defense, if you're pushed into the quarterback in a low situation. They felt that Hauser he should have been higher than that. They didn't think he had the ability. He should have the ability to stay up, so that draws the penalty.
Well, Hamilton sends the blitz right into the face of Cam Dukes this time, and they go back to Anderson, who they were trying to get it to on the first rep. As he steps out of bounds, they'll call it around the 51-yard line. Hamilton's end of the field, so credit to Cam Dukes, just like he did last season, battling in a fill-in role, being able to come back from that hit and interception, immediately make the right read and get it out of his hand.
Yep, sees pressure. There's a free player off to his right that he has to throw off of, gets it, throws right into the blitz to Anderson. Big target on the outside. Really good decision. Good. This is called recognition pre-snap, Marshall. He saw before the play even happened where to go with the football. Really good by him.
Right tackle, Sage Dockstader. They waited 4 years to get him, and now he's in the game. As this one skips down low on Herji Mayala.
You know, Cameron last year, if you think about early games in the season, they had a big win in the BC Lions. He was able to, using his legs, making good decisions with the football, he was able to lead this Argonaut team to a bunch of wins early in the season, and that's what helped propel this football team into a position to be able to go to the playoffs. and continue to go through. I loved every time he had an opportunity, the teammates rallied around him. They trusted that he would find ways to win doing things like this.
Julian Hauser close to getting him down. And Dukes will roll to his right, gives up his body, takes a big hit. And Casey Sales throws it into the sideline. They'll call it incomplete. And looking for Calvin Turner Jr. But yeah, I mean,
that's what he did last year,
he's
right?
A battler.
He avoided people, was able to do things. When the pressure came, hey, I can't find anybody to throw to. I'm going to use my legs. I'm going to run around and try to find somebody to make a play.
He was at his best last year when the pocket, I don't want to say was breaking down, but when he decided that it was time to get out and do something different, that was when Toronto's offense really started to flourish. But it was, as you say, it was amazing that Julian Hauser to the sideline with a very active series that time. But it's amazing that, you know, Chad Kelly was stand there and take bombs and rip it over the top.
Yeah.
Arbuckle was underneath and crossers and checkdowns, and Dukes was use your legs. And it's like three completely different systems. As this one very nearly blocked, might have gotten a piece of it. It'll hang high up in the air as a test of the special teams knowledge for the newcomers. Lawrence Woods hauls it in. There is no yards penalty on the play. And a 23-yard punt after Jason Johnson got in and probably could have blocked that one if he laid out real close.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out, you know, when you're going in for the block, one thing you're always teaching those guys is, hey, get your eyes right on that football. If you have to leave your feet, try it. You can see him trying to get the hands right there, just a second too late by Johnson there.
Well, my favorite part of that slow-mo looking directly into Jeremy Edwards, the punter's face, was that half moment as he's putting the tip of the ball down, and you see his eyes just look up and go, oh, he's coming free, eh? All right. Well, let's see how this one goes. Tried to get into it, but 23-yard punt, so Bo Levi Mitchell stays in the game despite Arbuckle being out. There's the starter on the other side, hands it off once again. Greg Bell gets his 7th carry of the ball game. That one goes for 8.
I think this is going to be an interesting thing for the Toronto Argonauts defense, because one of the things they've done the last 2 years, and obviously they've had a lot of talented players that have gone out, they were the second best team in the Canadian Football League against the run, Marshall. And, you know, that's key. If you can, they were very successful stopping the run, forcing people to pass, and they got a bunch of takeaways when people are throwing it on 2nd and long. So this will be interesting whether they can hold up against the run this season.
See Lanier signaling around in that defensive line for the Argonauts, trying to get everybody set, but on 2nd and 3, Bell continues to churn the legs, driving forward until he's brought down by Greg Reeves, number 99, in the middle for that Argonauts defense here tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing DeMarcus Christmas. You know, is that player 6'4", 305 pounds, Florida State player? Can he be a force on the inside?
Flags come up. It looks like Brendan O'Leary Orange might have gone for a jog a little bit early on the waggle.
Offside. Hamilton, number 4. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
I mean, I want to claim that it's, you know, start of the season. Brendan knows.
He's
Canadian guy.
Not a rookie. He's not a first-year guy.
Played Nevada, but he's been around.
Keep your focus. Keep your focus on. No huddle here.
Yeah, Bo doing a lot of work at the line of scrimmage, getting some quality reps in at home in the preseason. As the rush is on, steps up, and nice throw that time by Mitchell, just off the hands. Incomplete. Keandre Smith wants that one back.
Yeah, you know, when you're in these 2nd long yards, you don't get many opportunities with people open. Keandre Smith found the hole in the zone, something you would call a flood route, where they flood the sideline. It's over there, just a little bit outside of him. He's in between the low player and the high player. Just didn't finish.
So Bo now 9 of 17, 68 yards. No touchdowns scored as of yet for either of these sides. Mitchell tons of time now, and he'll check it down underneath. Greg Bell will do the rest, looking for the sideline. And where did he get to? Up around the 50. And that should leave it with 3rd and a couple of yards to go. And right away, Nick Constantino comes off the sideline. The punting unit for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, led by their special teams coordinator, Dennis McKnight.
And this is what you want out of your quarterback. There's a bunch of people dropping in zone with only a 3-man rush. You can't find anybody open, so what do? You check it down, give yourself an opportunity. You only got 3 more yards to get that first down, so you don't force anything inside. Put themselves in a bad situation. Really good by Bo there.
Nice job as well by Lawrence Johnson, being able to chase down Greg Bell, keep him 2 yards shy. His punt sent away by Constantino. Fades its way down after 43 yards and a nice special teams tackle, man. Quantrez Knight making a name for himself. Getting down the field as the 2025 men's in Stockholm. Tune to TSN for that one. And, of course, more preseason football as we roll in less than 2 weeks away from the start of the CFL on TSN regular season. These Tiger Cats will be on the road in Calgary. Levi Mitchell going back to McMahon to kick things off against Vernon Adams Jr. in the new look stance. As Dukes again using the legs, dives his way forward, gives himself up just across the 30. And with 1:05 remaining, good chance to get the hurry-up offense alive and well in the preseason.
Second and short, they're going to go a quick wedge with tempo so they can conserve as much time as possible so they can get back up with 59 seconds so they can try to head down the field, get at least a field goal.
Now, preseason, you're on the sidelines and you know that you're going to go ahead and do the wedge. Do you call the second play ahead of time where it's, hey, wedge first down and here's what you got?
Well, you can do that, but with the communication headset, it's so much easier. You can be able to just tell them the next one after you know what you got for yardage.
We'll whistle it in now. Clock rolls. And quickly out of his stance, Julian Hauser forcing the issue.
Procedure, Toronto number 63. 5-yard penalty, feed first down.
Sage Dockstader, a little bit of movement. This is a great draft pick. This is a big offensive lineman, 6'7" out of New Mexico State. They had to wait to get him because he had some NFL opportunities, but I think this player is going to be a great player in the league. He's on our right side right now. Was on the practice squad for some time last season. Just oversets here too much.
That's some big bodies on that right side of the line tonight, and every night throughout the season as this one rolls down in the turf. But between Dylan Giffen out of Western at 6'8", 328, you got Dockstader that's out there, like he's at 6'6", 329. I can keep going. John Boss,
exactly
6'4", 335.
I know we're early. It's early in the year, but you and I are on the same page. Here's my notes. George Moore, 6'5", Sage, 6'7", Vandal, 6'4", Giffen, 6'8", Ryan Hunter's the smallest at 6'3". So Chris Sweet, offensive line coach of the Toronto Argonauts, he likes those guys big in the offensive line.
As Dukes gets away from Hauser again, who's super active here in the second quarter. Now Dukes will throw this one away, incomplete.
You know, you're seeing some of what happens in preseason. So you got, both sides are getting a couple of penalties, and now you're sitting here at 2nd and 15, and you just don't really have a lot of spots to throw the football that gets you first down.
I think Hauser's happy to be back in Hamilton, though. Man, like his best days, it felt like, were in Hamilton before he signed the free agency deal to go to Calgary. Now he comes back after a couple of years, and he is just flying off the football here tonight.
And I think I said it before. I think him being with Brent Munson, who is his defensive coordinator in Calgary, they got somebody they expect can understand the systems and help.
Much less adventurous punt this time from Edwards. As trying to hit the hole that time was Wooden. And ran into a host of Argos tacklers. Flag comes out on the play as well.
During the return, illegal block. Hamilton number 78. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Cameron McDonald flagged there. Levi Mitchell in the Tiger Cats offense gets backed up with 30 seconds remaining in the half.
You know, interesting thing for the defense here. With so many changes, one of the things I talked to Kevin Iben about, co-defense coordinator last season, is how do they find a way to get this defense gelling when there's so many new pieces? And this was the conversation I had with him last year.
Yeah.
And one of the things he did say is something he learned from Rich Stubler was, hey, we're going to meet as much as we can together. Normally defensive groups, they break up. DB coach, linebacker coach takes his guys, D-line coach. They try to spend as much time together on defense, and they hope to build that relationships they need early in the season.
Mitchell checks it down underneath and incomplete. Is running right through it that time. Could have had a look, maybe Daniel Kwamu.
Yep, Daniel Kwamu is right there. Little tip ball.
No bullshit. Let's go.
Bo getting through his progressions, looking to the left, doesn't see anything, likes, flips his hips, tries to find the back.
Plenty of playing time for both Bo and Greg Bell. We'll see how long they stay in the game here as the offensive line units continue to roll through. But Tim White at full speed, now turning back into traffic, and Tim gets walloped. Pops up onto his feet at the 42.
Be interesting. We got a 3rd and 3 coming up here. 15 seconds left. They're going to try to draw him off sides here.
If you're coaching Tim White, though, the coaching point in this one's got to be, hey, preseason, 15 seconds left in the half. Please don't run back towards the large people.
Don't get hurt.
You're a gazelle.
Here comes victory offense, last play right here.
And they go big team, and Mitchell will kneel it out. Taylor Powell, backup quarterback for the Tiger Cats, patiently waiting for his opportunity to make a statement. But Bo Levi Mitchell here to get his work in tonight. The Argonauts scoreless in this first half for the highest scoring team in the Canadian Football League last year. And Toronto will have their choice to kick off the second half of whether to kick or receive. Got a feeling Toronto's taking the ball, and Ryan Dinwiddie's going to say, hey, start of the second half, let's go and put this thing in the end zone.
Yeah, from a coaching perspective, what goes on here, you know, the head coach is going to have certain scenarios of like, all right, we're going to start flipping our roster now. We're going to start getting people out. And Bo Levi Mitchell probably is not going to stay in when they start changing the offensive line. So that's what you have to figure out.
Let's find out from the man himself. Matthew Shinetti is field side with Bo.
Bo, we know how many options and weapons there are in this offense. How much time do you want on the field to get acclimated with everybody? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of work put in during the preseason at camp, but how much playing time do you want in a game like this?
I mean, you want to be out there as much as you can. You want to get ready for regular season, right? You know, we're obviously not firing on the cylinders we want to be right now. So, you know, if you let me stay in and get our offense continue to roll, get some touchdowns put up, that would be the best thing.
What excites you about the guys that you have around you, irrespective of the fact that it's just the first game of preseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just you're not focusing on any one receiver. You got a lot of dogs out there that can all make plays. You know, we just got to connect.
Thanks for this.
Appreciate it.
Well, Kate, it kind of feels on the field like it's fall, but both the Ticats and Argos are still working out the kinks. Ticats up 6.
Well, and as you just spoke to Bo Levi Mitchell, the big conversation coming into this game was how is he going to connect with all of these weapons back alongside Davis Sanchez and Milt Stegall. And look, if you're a Tiger Cat fan, and I get it, maybe it's not the most chemistry you've seen, but it's also a preseason game. But seeing that deep shot to Kenny Lawler right off the hop, you're like, and I get it, it was PI, but if that's what's to come, then you're pretty darn excited.
Absolutely. What did Bo just say? The dogs he has? The dogs. He absolutely has dogs. And in the preseason, the optimism for all 9 teams outweighs the doubts. That's what we're going to see. But if I'm going to buy stock in an offense, I'll buy stock in this Hamilton offense. And here's a few reasons why. One, I love the play caller. Scott Milanovich is a great play caller. And you look at the vertical and horizontal stretch, including from the running back Bell, but that this offense can put on a team with Kenny Lawler, with Tim White. The vertical horizontal stretch they can put on a team. And the way Bo Levi Mitchell throws deep balls, I love what they do. The one guy he can't seem to connect with, and I don't know why, is Tim White.
Yeah, and there was some disconnect last year. And you look at Tim White numbers, and he's been impressive since he's been in Hamilton in the last couple of years with Bo. He's averaging like, 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns 3 straight years. But they're expecting more out of this combo. They have so many pieces there where Bo can go out and make plays. But these two guys right here, if they can get on point, this offense can be unstoppable. We bring Kenny Lawler in. You got Bridges. You got Smith. They have so many weapons, but these are the 2 guys that just can't get on the same page.
We've been seeing it. What is it when we see these 2 guys together that they can't connect on the deep shots, or at least as much as they'd like to? You see anything?
Right. Well, we've seen them connect some, but I don't know exactly what it is. We saw the last one where there could have been a touchdown where he was expecting
sit down
to go deep.
The inside route, yeah.
But he went to the post. And when I played receiver, anytime there was an opening in the middle, myself and the quarterback, we always expected we were going to throw it to the middle because that's the easiest.
It's wide open.
It's wide open. So I don't know if there was some reasoning going on before that where they said, regardless, you're going to go upfield, or if Bo just made a mistake, or if White made a mistake. But those 2 guys got to get on the same page.
Is that the best trio in the league? If they connect, and what we see right now, the best trio in the league?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, there's no doubt. But as you're saying, too, I mean, the 10-yard 10-yard passes, the catches in the middle of the field, they're great, but he needs to catch some touchdown passes.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the things that the Hamilton Tiger Cats need so much, but we'll see what happens in the second half. And I don't know if you guys think this way. I don't think we're going to see Bo Levi Mitchell the rest of this game.
I don't think so.
It's got to be Taylor Powell at this point. We got a 6-0 ball game, and guess what? These two guys coached in a big game this morning. We got highlights from the CFC prospect game coming up right after this.
I cannot be stopped. I'm a young Rolling Stone and I'm ready to rock. I'm just going after gold, ain't no way they can stop me. My champagne bottles I'm popping. They say that it's pure nirvana by the way that I'm riding. They can't push it back like my fears. I'm just going after gold, ain't no way they can stop me. My champagne bottles I'm popping.
That's just a preview of the things you're gonna get.
Unbelievable. Unreal stuff.
All right, preseason continues Friday. It is our last preseason game on the network before the regular season begins the following Thursday. Montreal Alouettes taking on the Ottawa Red Blacks. You can see it 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. We have been talking about this game the entire broadcast. We'll finally now show you the highlights. The CFC Prospects game. Team Sanchez down by 6. Under 90 seconds to go. Jacob Mueller escapes the pocket, takes it in for 6, giving Team Sanchez the lead. And then after Team Stiegel responded with the field goal, one last chance for Team Sanchez. Mueller throws it deep. And it's going to be caught by Keaton Belcher. 0's on the clock, but there's a roughing the passer on the play, putting Team Sanchez in field goal range with a chance to win. And Matias Pisa misses the game-winning kick. Okay, we'll talk about more in a minute because Stiegel, he got the Gatorade shower. Funny because Sanchez also got the Gatorade shower when he thought that his team had won. Over to the Rough Riders and the Blue Bombers. First quarter action, Zach Collaro is going to find Jalen Hall 25 yards. The two-time MOP suspended for the first game of the season after failing to respond to a drug testing request. But a nice little play there. And then in the second, Jake Mayer playing in his first game as a Riders. Pass intercepted by Cam Allen. Mayer coming off a season with Calgary where he had 22 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He finished the game 8 for 13, 80 yards, 1 pick as Winnipeg takes it 15-19. Your final. Let's go to the East now. Red Blacks taking on the Alouettes. Third quarter action. Jalen Samuels takes it 23 yards to the house. Samuels, a former Steeler and Texans running back, returning to pro football after a 3-year hiatus. It looks like he's doing A-OK. Still in the third. Dustin Crum rolls to his left, going to find Sam Schnee for 6. Crum finished the day 4-5, 22 yards, 1 TD as the Red Blacks beat the Alouettes 23-7, your final. But let's get back to that CFC Prospects game.
Yes, sir.
Because my good, look, and I've seen highlights for years. By the way, congratulations to one Milt Stiegel. That is now 2 in a row. But this one, you guys were saying, was by far the best level of talent, but the ending of the game was absolutely wild.
Yes, and you show the young man who missed the could have been the game-winning field. But before that, he made the game-winning field goal because we only had a couple of field goal kickers. But there was some exceptional talent. This is my 3rd year being involved with it, 5th year overall, and that game right there was the best game by far.
Absolutely.
It's not even close.
Yeah, that game was the talent, the quarterback play, outstanding. These kids, I always say it, the kids, they're getting better. Look at me, I'm complaining and whining. I'll tell you what, I didn't have my best performance. I wasn't great, but these kids were amazing. Look at Stiegel.
Were you teaching them touchdown celebrations?
I just jumped in with them.
Okay.
I just jumped in with them.
The talent of these kids these days, I love it. Bright future. We thoroughly enjoy spending a few days with these kids and the coaches out there. What a day.
And so just want to say, this game will be on Monday. 7:30 TSN 4.
Oh, yeah.
It's a classic. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss this game.
7:30 Eastern. No,
Yes.
they're not lying. They showed me some of the highlights.
Yes.
Some of these kids right now, it is remarkable what is coming through the Canadian ranks. But by the way, I need to talk about the two of you and your coaching techniques. There will be no more on-field running at this point. I mean, this is going way too far. You guys running on the field, the game's not even done.
Well, we thought it was done. That's the thing.
It's like the CFL. You never turn away.
That is true.
KB, I got a Gatorade shower that I lost. So obviously, a little Danny Machocha throwback.
Premature
Shout
Gatorade
out
shower.
To the Grey Cup champs.
A lot of great things in this game, a lot of great talent. We met some great coaches, great fans, but the most important thing, I won, baby.
Oh, my goodness. Ches, just beat him next year so we don't have to hear this for an entire year.
Got to be a gracious winner. Congratulations, Bill. You deserved it, and the players were better than their coach.
Congratulations, the one and only Milt Stiegel.
I'm a sore winner and a sore loser.
Yeah, just brightening the future of what's to come in Canada. What a great game, and congratulations to all the athletes that participated. We'll get you back to Hamilton. 6-0 Tiger Cats right after this.
Welcome back to Hamilton as the sun sets. We head to the second half. Scoreless first half for the Toronto Argonauts. They're down by 6. Their head coach, Ryan Dinwiddie's with Matthew Shinetti.
Ryan, how will you assess what you will do on offense, especially at quarterback going forward?
Yeah, so I thought Nick, his eyes were great. He was getting the ball off his hands. We had a few batted balls. They're bringing pressure. I thought Nick was right on point. We just got to finish some drives. Cam took the low hit. Unfortunately, they didn't call that as a penalty. He had challenges, but, Cam's a little dinged up from that, too. So take care of him, and we'll let the young kid go see what he's got.
You said into the first week of preseason that you liked where your team was. Now, obviously, you're working out some kinks in the game, but overall, this group being the defending champions, how have you liked how preseason has been so far?
Yeah, I mean, there's some plays we can teach, and the players can learn from, right? As coach, we can teach. I thought we got done some good work. We just got to finish a little bit more. I thought our defense is fighting, right? Find a way to get some turnovers, just to make some plays to get in the end zone. But, we came out here with the opportunity to evaluate some talent. We're calling the plays against guys some opportunities. You see our receiver, he's been here for 2 days, Anderson, he goes out there and makes some plays. So we want to win the game. Obviously, we're competitive, but at the same time, we got to evaluate all our guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, man.
Great stuff from Ryan Dinwiddie there, the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts. You know what I love about that, too? Like, Matthew asked the question about, hey, you're coming off the championship, and how is the group in it? There is no, hey, we won the Grey Cup. You don't get that sense at all from this group. Maybe it's because there was so much turnover. Maybe Dinwiddie's done a great job at camp of just resetting, but...
Coaches don't live in the past, Marshall. You got to move on to the new year, new things.
As we kick off the second half, Toronto, as I thought they would at the end of the first half, receives to begin this second half of preseason football. Great to have you with us. Again, Matthew Shinetti on the field level, Marshall Ferguson, Paul Lapalisse. And we do have a change-up at quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts. So it looks like Cam Dukes is done. And, that kid that Dinwiddie was mentioning, Tucker Horn, coming in out of Trinity, 5'10", 220, getting his shot here in the CFL.
A lot of touchdowns, not a lot of interceptions. And this is what Ryan Dinwiddie talked about is really important here. Like, you got younger players playing. Execution allows you to evaluate more players. And if you don't, so if some of the younger players come into the game, Marshall, I always try to talk to the players, hey, every time you drop the ball, we're probably off the field, and the running back doesn't get another opportunity to touch the football, or the offensive lineman. So as younger players start coming into these preseason games, they've got to make sure they execute so they can get evaluated themselves. But if they get penalties and end up 2 and outs, well, nobody's successful, nobody gets a lot of reps, and you don't get to evaluate players. So that's what's real important for these younger guys, is that now we start changing over who's playing in these preseason games.
You can hear the beats per minute on the heart rate of Zorn from up here, who's now cutting it back into the open field and bouncing off tacklers. It's a big run for number 28. We thought we'd say his name lots. Mayan Williams here tonight, and he should be getting the bulk of the carries in the second half. 26 yards now.
Really good bounce. This is a player that John Murphy talked about and said he is a talented football player. We expect great things from him. He was injured last year in his season and was should have been, they thought he would have been a combine invite and then was going to be drafted, but had some injuries, kind of forced him in a situation where he did not get those opportunities. But I know they like this player a lot. And if I go back to talking about the execution, so what happens as a coach here is, Marshall, you get a sheet, and whether you're a coordinator or a head coach, you got a sheet that says, all right, in this quarter we're putting in, this is the offensive line group, this is the running back that's in this quarter. So the coach has it, or the play caller has all those things to be able to communicate, and we'll see what happens right here.
To see Lawrence Woods down, one of the great returners in the CFL, and it looks like trying to hold on to Williams at the end of the play, and got wrapped up in his arm. A little worse for wear.
Yep. Coming off, walking off good. So that's kind of the point, is the coaches and the play callers have to see, all right, who's playing the slot position, who's the field slot, who's the boundary. So then as a play caller, you can go, all right, I need to feature this player, so I want to get some reps. And you're going to change your play calling once you evaluate who's in at all those different spots that the coaches give you.
There's this one right down the rail. Williams picks up just a couple of yards, but it's interesting trying to, for Ryan Dinwiddie. Okay, we put in this young quarterback, and you can see the way that they have simplified the opening calls here, and gone to his base playlist or whatever it might be to try and get him comfortable. But the reality is, like, you still got to manipulate a pocket and work a huddle and communicate and get people lined up in the right spots. And if you can't do that, then you just can't play pro football. So even the basics aren't easy. As Horn looks at 2nd and 8. To his right-hand side, goes to the one-on-one matchup down the right rail, and it will be hauled in. A nice throw by Tucker Horn on the outside.
Horn doing his best. He's recognizing on the backside. There's one receiver over here. There's 4 over there. He takes the matchup over to his right when he sees the safety move to the left. Throws the ball on the outside to Shane Hooks. Nice throw. Puts him at the 4-yard line. Great position. Great read. Great throw. Put it where Hooks can catch it and nobody else can. Good play by the young quarterback.
Servant Bagayogo out of Guelph in coverage there on Hooks, is now scrambling forward, and Horn looking for the end zone and gets popped. Turned the other direction. Was that DQ Thomas? Turning him around. Yes, it was.
So when you're scrambling, you better make sure you see where DQ is.
You can feel that half-second right of, I'm going to score.
I got the touchdown. No, you don't.
Oh, he thought that was the move.
Right. Great play. Another good. Trying to make your plays. Zone coverage. You can watch the quarterback. When you see him scramble, you get an opportunity to go make a hit on him. So we'll put them in 2nd and 4 here, see what they can do.
Also, if Horn scores a rushing touchdown and doesn't go pull a cell phone from underneath the center stand, so I'm going to be real upset. There's an inside handoff. Williams, touchdown. And the Argonauts on the board for the first time in this ball game with their 3rd-string quarterback.
And that's what usually happens. You get a big explosive play, Marshall, that flips the field, puts you inside the 5-yard line. You're always going to get plenty of opportunities to score touchdowns when you flip the field like that. So what happens? Everybody going in this direction, and then you cut it back behind it. So Williams, good balance. Get in the end zone. Good blocking up front.
Yeah, what a block that time by Jake Herslow, kicking out the backside at 34 yards for Williams on that drive, and 1 of 1 for 33 yards was Tucker Horn. So a 6-play drive. He only had to make 1 throw thanks to the running game. And nevertheless, a team effort, mixing and matching pieces to open up the second half, and Ryan Dinwiddie will be happy with that result as Williams tries to slot his way into a crowded Argonauts backfield. Not many opportunities, but hey, get film where you can. You never know where it'll take you in the CFL preseason. Winton Woods High School, Forest Park, Ohio, all the way through Ohio State University. They've never made any good running backs to Ohio State, right? That's not a school that gets a lot of those. And here is Mayan Williams into the end zone for the first time in the CFL.
Well, I did ask personnel person for Toronto Argonauts, Jonathan Murphy. Who do I got to think about? He said Mayan Williams. We've loved everything he's done in camp. He's got really good tools. I know we have a lot of backs in the backfield, but this guy's special.
Hard to get a good read on a physical back like that until you're in full pads playing a different color uniform. Well, here he is, 34 yards on that first drive to open up the half. So Hamilton gets possession, and looking down to the sidelines, Bo Levi Mitchell will come off the sidelines and into the ball game once again. So squeezing every single drop they can out of Bo's preseason appearance here at Hamilton Stadium.
Yeah, and you're always just looking at what you're not sure. Are you sure the starting quarterback's in? Well, you're checking your line first. If the starting offensive line's in, your starting quarterback's still going to be in the game. That's what we see here.
Bo told Matthew Shinetti leading into halftime he wants to get into rhythm. Well, he also wants to make some big plays, and off the hands of Kenny Lawler. Great battle down the field, one-on-one that time with Delonte Hood. Had the hands a little bit all over Kenny, and Lawler's having a little bit of fun. Knows he could have had that one, but it's a little early to be dipping into the all-time highlight reel here for Kenny. It's preseason, man.
Trying to work it out and see. But, you know, again, you could see possibly does a challenge come because of this pull here. But that's what you get when you have a big target. You can just trust it. That was a hard play action. Hey, let's just throw it up to the deep player. They're going to put Kenny Lawler in tons of these situations this year.
And I love that slow-mo shot from our crew, too, because you can just see the ability to track the ball in the air over his shoulder, leaning sideways. Special stuff from Lawler as Mitchell rolls to his right, pumps. Oh, Bo's going to show off the preseason wheels and slides down as a flag comes up in behind. It looks like that was Deshaun McCarthy, number 73, who got in the top of Mitchell as he slid down, but Bo no worse for wear on his feet.
I had a conversation with Bo last year around Grey Cup time, and he had talked about there were more opportunities for him.
The passer, Toronto number 73, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
There's McCarthy. I assume McCarthy makes contact to the head. There, right there, you can see. Can't deliver a blow to the head. That's what draw the penalty. But actually, that Bo needed to run and scramble more. Yep. There was opportunities for him to scramble. He wasn't. Got coached up that I need to scramble a little bit more, and looks like he's starting to learn how to do that there.
Former quarterback Brian Dinwiddie not appreciating that one. He thought the effort was clean, but the penalty yardage marked off and back into the hands of number 27, Johnny Augustine, who we expect to get plenty of love here in the second half.
Yeah, Johnny Augustine, I love how he follows his blockers. All the blockers went to the left. Okay, it's called an outside zone play. Everybody runs to the left, and he finds the crease and then just puts his foot in the ground. One cut, gets north-south.
Keandre Smith trying to play equipment manager here for Drew Stroshine, who's the actual equipment manager for the Tiger Cats, long time on the sidelines, and Scott Milanovic dialing it up on second and short. Antti Litre goes into his quarterback role, leaning to the left-hand side as the running back, fullback, short yardage quarterback combination that wears number 34. You can see it himself, picks up the first.
Yeah, we do have a flag down, which is probably going to be offsides on Toronto.
Offside, Toronto defensive line, 5-yard penalty, result in a first down.
Checking another box here for Milanovic and his Hamilton offense. Short yardage, make sure they're into a good rhythm.
And this is, you talk about rhythm, this is them practicing their no huddle. They haven't huddled anyone at all on this drive except for the short yardage situation. Trying to work on that situational football.
Mitchell looks right the whole way. Rips this one flat-footed. It's caught by Keandre Smith, and he has to earn that rutledge. Right there is the first contact also made by Istvan Asabo-Datsi, draft pick out of Windsor.
Really good situation for Bo. You know, that's what Toronto's done all year. They're going to play zone as much as they can, force you to throw underneath. Then they can make their plays. We got number 82's been playing both ways here as I watch it.
He's on both sides right now as he's playing free safety, playing some receiver earlier, back to the short yardage package. And Litre plunges his way forward. Derek Sluke, you don't often get to see the old
not often, no.
The old school play both ways, but as you say, the more you can do is the old saying. Well, certainly in the CFL, you can prove that you've got roster flexibility to be a depth player out of position, maybe even on the other side of the football. Man, that would certainly help your case to make the roster.
Big.
Go to Ithaca. Derek Slutka.
Ithaca Bombers. Division 3, Marshall. We love our Division 3 guys.
Mitchell looks over the top. Shamar Bridges down the left sideline. Ball hung up a little bit. Flags come in. And it was Slutka who was there on the play. He thought he timed it out correctly. The officials, I'm sure, will take a look at it.
Toronto number 75. The foul is in goal. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
Well, actually give it to Asbo Dancy. It looks like, based on the number 61, here on the outside.
61.
Yeah, obviously just draped all over. The ball's a little short, and that's usually always going to lead to that penalty, right? You're impeding the ability for that receiver to go back to make a play on the football, which anytime this is a pass interference in the end zone, it's going to put the ball at the one, which is going to be a 95% chance of.
Litre's in motion, but he's not the short yardage quarterback here. They'll just reverse pivot and hand it off. Little inside zone. How about that? A real football play from the 1-yard line.
Yes, excellent. Blocking up front, 1-yard line. You know, again, this is the time of year you want to work on some of your gap schemes and your run plays. You're at the 1-yard line, let's work it. We're going to see, I believe somebody's going to pull over. We're going to kick out.
Oh, I'm so
there
sorry.
There you go. It was a power play, Marshall. Power. You and I, we'll get it, buddy.
Preseason for me, too.
What does that mean? We move people towards where the ball is going. So they move the fullback and the backside guard. That creates the big hole. And who doesn't love a power play, Marshall, when it scores a touchdown? Oh, my God. I don't love the power. You got to kidding me?
I don't want to take away the employability of guys like Litre, but I do have a proposition moving forward in the CFL, because as much as I love watching the rugby scrum and the history of it,
yes,
anytime you're inside the 5-yard line and there's a single yard to go,
well, I agree. Maybe they're working on things because, yes, when the ball's at the 1-yard line, you usually don't hand it backwards.
Go for 2 here. Mitchell. Looks right.
Nice catch.
Rips it left, and Kenny Lawler picks it off the turf for 2. So after no touchdowns in the opening half of action, all of a sudden, an explosion of offense. Preseason, teams starting to get in rhythm a little bit here. Wonder if that's the last we'll see of Bo Levi Mitchell. If it is, this was the throw that did it, as Lawler bails out his quarterback for 2. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, brain trust right there. Scott Milanovich, Bo Levi Mitchell looking it over as Johnny Augustine finds his way into the end zone. Big celebration with Keandre Smith. Couple of Canadians chopping it up in CFL preseason, and great to see Augustine hitting the ground running, pun intended, with these Hamilton Tiger Cats after spending 6 years in Winnipeg.
Yeah, Johnny, I'll tell you, the players loved him. They knew anytime there was an injury to any of the starting tailbacks that he was going to go in and produce. And that's all you want from your teammates. You want somebody who's going to go in and not miss a beat when he gets his opportunity to play. And I thought always Johnny Augustine was spectacular at that.
Solidifying his role as a number 2 here in Hamilton is Ryan Hunter with the hoodie on underneath. Looks like he might be done for the night. Maybe cooking up something on the sideline. More on that when we return. Ryan Hunter of the Toronto Argonauts, a decorated career already, one of the more successful blockers in and around the league, and he's been lifting iron his whole life, but maybe an iron chef in his future. Matthew Chinetti has more.
Yeah, Marshall, apart from being in Guelph for the Argos as a whole in their training camp, the other place that Ryan Hunter has been the nearby Canadian Tire getting some cooking wear, because even though Ryan Dinwiddie loves to have cookouts, and they had one earlier this week for the Argo players and the coaching staff, it's actually Ryan Hunter's dorm room at the University of Guelph that's a very popular spot, because he's cooking for the entire team, whether it's cacio pepe or it's a little steamed vegetables with some ribs or some meat or maybe some gourmet cheesecake. That's right down my alley as an amateur baker myself. Everything that is going on at the Argos camp in terms of bringing the team together, a lot of it's generated right now by Ryan Hunter and just bringing everybody right to the table. All it that does is cost an Argo $10. But Hunter says he's finding the guys are actually coming to him more than going to the cafeteria, and he might be doing that a little bit more coming to regular season, guys.
Amazing. Thank you, Matthew. As the Argonauts offense stands, Ryan Hunter goes back to work, carry for a couple of yards. But it's great because it gives a sense of community, obviously. It's team building, and it's much more than just food, because food is about, family and friends and all the rest. But what I come back to with this, I remember doing a Zoom 48 hours before an Argonauts game last year talking to Ryan Hunter. I don't think we talked any football because Dwayne Ford and Ryan Hunter just talked about food for half an hour. They were best friends.
Well, I mean, what people have to understand is the offensive line group is usually the tightest group on the football team. They spend so much time together. They are the group that always are the ones that are spectacular at making sure that they're the best friends. They spend time together on the road. They go have dinner together. That's a crew that you love to be around. I enjoyed coaching that group because they're diligent, hard workers. They did everything they needed to. And then, you start doing this, you start really growing as a family.
Marquise McLean makes the grab that time from Tucker Horn. Nice throw into coverage right down the middle of the field. But it's almost as though Ryan Hunter very quickly has taken on that Toronto Argonauts kind of legacy role.
Chris Sweet, offensive line coach, done an outstanding job. Second best rushing team in the Canadian football last year. And 121 yards a game.
Up the middle once again for Mayan Williams. So I was about to say the kind of legacy role like Chris Van Zyl, who held that down for so long in the offensive line. It was like, you come to Toronto Argonauts, if you're a young offensive lineman, you're working with this group. It's like Chris was the one who was going to take you under his wing and go, here's how we do things the right way. Ryan's kind of become that guy already.
Yeah. And then I tried to interview him at halftime last year when I was doing my best Shinetti impression, and I went and they said, who do you want to interview at halftime? I'm like, I want to interview an offensive lineman. Give me Ryan Hunter. And I don't know if I got him in trouble because offensive linemen, when they do interviews, usually get fined. Not allowed to talk to the media.
Ryan is a great interview. Anytime you get a chance to speak to him in and around CFL stadiums, make sure you do it out there, fans. This again, it is McLean getting another touch in that Hamilton defense, flying to the football. And as you're starting to see some of the names that are further back in the depth chart entering the game defensively, Kendarius Smith making the play that time, flying around and trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah, and quick screen passes. This is what you're going to try to do when you get younger guys in the football game. You're going to try to, hey, I got this guy we think's a pretty talented football player. Let's get the ball in space, see what he can do. The other thing you're going to do at this juncture of the game, as they go for it here on 3rd and 2, is when your younger offensive line goes in, you're going to start seeing this. The screen passes, the moving the launch points, just because they don't have as much experience. But you do see Nicastro in there. You see Sirocco. So you still see some of the starting crew.
Extra offensive lineman in here for Toronto. And they'll hand it off, trying to make his way to the left-hand side. Nice run. What a fight that time by Mayan Williams. And you say nice run immediately, Lapo. Just the power and the ability to turn it north-south.
Yeah, and hey, speaking of offensive linemen, watch Big 51 motion out here in the backfield. They get Bose, he's right in front of the quarterback right here. You see him running around. He's trying to get a block. Kind of misses his block, but nice cut back. You talk about balance in a running back. But sometimes people go for your feet. If you can spin, bounce off people, low center of gravity guys, that's what you love. And hey, Bose's now in a better position. He's not playing fullback. Back at the offensive line, where he belongs.
John Boss, 25th overall. Nice spin move that time from Williams. Is out of Calgary at 6'4", 335. Again, part of that big offensive line across the board. And you can.
Where is he from?
University of Calgary.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, and I remember that when we were standing, field side at the combine, and he started popping bags, and you're going, man, he's tall. He's probably too tall. Like, it's kind of awkward. And then you go, yeah, but he's like one of the only guys making all the bags pop out here because he's just throwing his weight around. So you can see why the Argonauts in their running game and philosophy with Ryan Dinwiddie would want him to be in the mix and showing off a little bit of that fullback motion as well. Natural athlete is Tucker Horn on 2nd down and 6. Screens it inside once again. Some blockers out in front. And a big hit as Williams gets popped that time.
And this is what I was...
second.
And you see Cole right there with a Guardian cap, as you see we have a couple players tonight with the Guardian caps on. And that's what I'm talking about. You're 2nd and 7 here. Instead of forcing the quarterback, you want to keep getting plays, keep on the move. What do you call a screen pass? Second screen pass of the drive. That's what you want to do with some of the younger players so they don't have to look downfield, make a big play. Keep getting the ball to Williams, get him opportunities.
That is good, clean, fast, hard preseason football right there. That is
hit by Cole.
That is good stuff. Again, John Boss in motion, big 51 over the left-hand side. This time Horn plays off of it and nowhere to go. Good coverage in the secondary for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. There's Owen Hubert out of McMaster, number 47.
Owen Hubert,
issue.
You know, Ted Gavai is another one. Owen Hubert's that Ted Gavai brought over from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Played in some games last season for them and finished on the practice squad, but brought him home. Ted Gavai thought really good things, thought he'd be a good guy to come back from McMaster. I don't really like people from McMaster, but, you know, whatever, we'll do it. Where did you go to school, Marshall?
It's down the road.
Oh, no.
There's a big M.
I am kidding, McMaster people. I just don't like Marshall.
You're not alone. There's another quick throw out, but Owen Hubert's brother Silas as well out of Queens getting drafted this year goes to Edmonton, and looking forward to seeing his career continue to blossom as a rookie.
Yeah, Silas had a really good career. Awesome. Fun to watch. Saw him at the Combine this year, too.
Lots of players around the country grinding away, trying to find their spot on a roster. And
all right, I'm going to coach right now. I'm going to be a coach. So that's a great drive for the Toronto Argonauts organization, because everybody's sitting here going, let's evaluate these players. Let's see what you heard Ryan Dimwitty say it. Well, what'd they do? How many plays on that drive? 8 plays, 9 plays, working down the field. Okay, so now you got film. Now you can look at those guys. Hey, how did that guy pull on the screen pass? Did he do what we asked him to do? Quarterback make the right read. You can go through all the scenarios you need and evaluate players, and that's what this job is.
Well, the points started hitting the board, and all of a sudden there's only 51 seconds remaining in this third quarter. Preseason action from Hamilton continues next. Oh, the kids are out and loving it. And earlier today, the best high school prospects in the country, they hit the hammer. It's the annual CFC Prospects game. And you know Davis and Milt had some fun on the sidelines. You got to make sure you catch it all. The action is up on Monday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on TSN, as the young members of the Tiger Cats fan base out in full throat today, celebrating the return of CFL football to Hamilton in this great rivalry between the Tiger Cats and the Argonauts, as Taylor Powell into the ball game and 0 for 1 to kick things off as he skips it into the turf. But for Powell last year, had an opportunity to start, gets his first chance to replace Bo Levi Mitchell. Scott Milanovich wanted to make a switch, then got a concussion and wasn't able to stick around, and so he had to take a lot of time back to the sideline. It really sprung Bo Levi Mitchell to a near MOP campaign, but Powell's got a ton of ability when he has been able to stay healthy in this Hamilton offense.
Yeah, I thought the Ticats did a good job trying to utilize his legs in their pass game scheme, so giving him opportunities to move the launch point, either run or pass options. They always did a good job with him last year.
In tough on 2nd and long there after the inefficient first down, but Ternowski makes the grab and comes up short, so the punting unit will come out. Bo Levi 13-23, just crossed the dollar bill mark.
Yeah, and as you come to this point of the game, you know, as a play caller and everything, you're always thinking volume. Like, I don't want to have too much volume in, and I used to do this in my career. It would be bad. I would have too much stuff in when you're just trying to evaluate guys, but you're, I got to run this play, this play. You just want to run plays so the guys can see. You can see, can this guy run? Can this guy process? Can this guy get downfield? On defense, can this guy tackle when he needs to make tackles?
As the return game comes to life now for the Toronto Argonauts, trying to get to the outside. Calvin Turner Jr. And he turns on the burners and gets all the way out to the 37-yard line as the end of 3 quarters of play here in the Hammer. Just leaning anticipation into what should be a tremendous 2025 CFL season. A great rivalry matchup between these two. For now, they'll round out the preseason week 1 when we return. tremendous way to kick off the preseason here for these two clubs, Hamilton and Toronto, going back and forth in that third quarter, actually putting some points up on the board. Bo Levi Mitchell done for the ball game. Have to say it wasn't the crispest of efforts, but certainly getting into a little bit of a rhythm as his time wound down. But what's really caught my eye now is just the Toronto Argonauts and their running back group. There's 4 bodies in that group. Can you keep all 4? Will you keep all 4? They brought in Kevin Brown. They see Mayan Williams out here ripping around. What do you think, Lapo?
Yeah, Mayan Williams really had a really good day. Kevin Brown was a very talented football player, as we see here for the Elks. And again, a good signing in the offseason, but could even carry Mayan Williams, Kevin Brown. So what's kind of hard is you can't keep all of these guys, and certainly when you have veterans in the roster, that can come in to hurt you sometimes of injuries. Mayan Williams, sometimes you get these guys that are really talented down from the U.S. They may say, I'm not going to go on the practice squad, but he's a young player. He might go on the practice squad, so maybe you get to keep all these guys around. And you still got McMahon, right?
Yeah, Deontay McMahon adds to the skill set as well. A variety of different things as Tucker Horn elongates the play as far as he can. There's flag down.
Flag.
Yeah, along that sideline.
And this is what you're going to see later in the game to help the offensive line, help the quarterback.
No flag on the play.
Move the pocket.
Multiple
Easy pictures for the quarterback.
Came out, but they'll pick him up. Maybe
And then, yeah, you're right. Like a running back room like that, it's just hard to keep guys like that on the roster if they're not a returner, if that makes sense. McMahon gets his opportunities because he's going to be used in the return game. But you just sometimes can't use that extra roster spot just to have a second string running back that is international.
Jair Mitchell in the backfield now as well. The 5th of those 5 names that are in and around is this throw underneath on 2nd and long. Goes for not much of a gain. Brought down immediately. Knight making plays once again. He's made a name for himself on special teams here this evening. But that running back room, Lap, was just a good example of really the challenge that exists at large in this entire training camp and short CFL preseason, which is there's too many good players and not enough roster spots.
Yeah, it always comes to that. And when I talk to some of the general managers around the league, they always say, like, we want to get new players and we want to re-sign all our players, but it just turns into a numbers game. In the salary cap era, hey, if you want Wynton McManus, if you want Janarian Grant, if you want Cameron Judge's contract, you're going to lose out on some players. We're going to have to move on from some players, and you're going to have to start with some rookies at certain positions on the field because of the cap numbers.
39-yard punt here and returned by Phillip Brooks. Out of Kansas State trying to make his way in. There's
as a coach, here's the hardest part of the game. This is what Bo Levi did today. He had a couple opportunities for short throws. Missed 1 or 2 of those, but he saw the right pictures. Checked the ball down when he was there. Had some opportunities. Got some throws to Kenny Lawler. This is vintage Bo Levi Mitchell. He understands what's going on. Escaped the pocket. Found his new target, Kenny Lawler. Easy day. They'll continue to build and figure out. I like the no huddle they did with Bo. You got a veteran like that. Why not do some no huddle offense? Allow him to call some of it at the line of scrimmage, give him good opportunities.
As anybody who follows the CFL passionately, which if you're watching the preseason, and most of you will be, is a lot of the time at home, that's when you maximize the reps that you can get for your starting crew and obviously your starting quarterback as well. And we've seen before across the league where the presumed starter, the returning starter comes in and just kind of throws a bit of a stinker to get things going. It really hurts the momentum of the season. It doesn't feel like Bo had any of that in his game tonight. Is now Powell whipping it down the field. And it'll be just shy. Maybe they'll spot it up yet. They will at the 50. It's complete to Odieu Hilaire.
There's that statistic right there you had of Bo Levi Mitchell in the deep balls. And here Powell taking this shot on the perimeter on the outside. Climbs the pocket. He knows he has a one-on-one on the outside. Nice throw to Hilaire on the outside to get the big first down. But Bo Levi led the CFL in the deep passes. You just saw that. What Scott Milanovic wants him to do is, like, you can lead the CFL in deep passes. Got to minimize when you take those shots. Make sure they're good decision shots that don't lead to interceptions. As he led the CFL in interceptions last season.
Yeah, absolutely is. And it off inside here. Will Powell on first down. My favorite kind of Bo factoid in the year that was last year, the crazy numbers, is Powell Stares down now, second and long. Is since COVID, you know, Bo had a season where he had 2,500 passing yards, then 2,000 passing yards, then 1,000 passing yards. In 2021, 2022, 2023, it's a total of 5,600 passing yards. Last year, he had 5,400. So he almost had 3 seasons worth of production. Obviously, injuries hampered that, but in 21 to 23, he did the same thing in a single year last year, which was wild. As this went up in the air, almost intercepted, and a great play on the football that time. It's number 39, Lawrence Johnson. He's been around the rock a couple of different times.
Yeah, Lawrence Johnson angles inside as the receiver. He's a linebacker underneath this post route. Taylor tried to throw it in there. You just got to, when that linebacker hangs that far on the post, you got to throw underneath him. Good opportunity for him to try to make a play and keep showing the coaches what he can do.
So with 11 minutes and change rolling here in the fourth quarter, Hamilton up by 4. And classic preseason late substitution, trying to sort things out.
This is what I mean. This is a nightmare for coaches right now. This part of the game, there's so many people on the sidelines because people are forgetting what special teams are on. So the special teams coordinators are going nuts here on the sideline.
Yeah, this is when your quality control and assistant to the assistant has to be on everybody and make sure that
Mickey Donovan.
Hey, listen, you're not down yet, okay?
Dennis McKnight, Mickey Donovan, special teams coordinators. These two teams are going, hey, make sure you know what team you're on. Don't forget, all these guys trying to make the team, they forget about you got to play special teams too.
Yeah, absolutely. As Tucker Horn comes out trying to make more of a name for himself. Nightfall in the Hammer preseason. Well, all smiles on the Argonauts sideline right now. The quarterbacks hanging out, relaxing. Cam Dukes alongside Nick Arbuckle, who got a chance to do something that is kind of a bucket list item for a lot of people. Look at this, Arbuckle.
Look at this.
Ripped it. And apparently, I've been told, courtesy Mike Hogan and Argonauts.ca, he never played baseball? How is that possible that Nick Arbuckle had never played baseball? He said he was leaning on Cam Dukes because Dukes, Dukes slung it around a little bit. So.
And in the alternative Blue Jays jerseys.
Yeah,
that's an awesome jersey to get and keep.
Nice looking, but cool experience for Nick Arbuckle. An opportunity to get to do something that a lot of people dreamed of as a kid. And wide smiles from ear to ear, just like right now, is you can tell that post-Grey Cup MVP glow still kind of hanging over Arbuckle. He's enjoying life in double blue a year after he thought he might be going into coaching. I'll hang around, see what happens. Oh, look, I'm the Grey Cup MVP.
Yeah, and, you know, great family, great individual. And, you know, and obviously he had opportunities at other places. I was with him in Ottawa, and then he had to move on from Ottawa, went to Edmonton, back to Toronto, back to Ottawa. So, you know, it's great to see him get that opportunity and be part of that Grey Cup championships. Great story.
Tucker Horn in at quarterback for the Argonauts right now. Muscles this one out to the left sideline. And it's completed. See Ryan Baker right there, number 36 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in around the action. He filled in admirably last year at middle linebacker, but some moving pieces this year to sort out what they're going to do in the middle of that Hamilton defense. Devin Verzek, the second overall pick. Nice play on special teams early on in this game, and Verzek making his way off the sideline right now to help with the return team for the Tiger Cat Specials. Second overall pick, grinding away on specials. Gotta love it. CFL. Earn your stripes.
Talented football player. Great athlete.
Hammered down the field. And Wooden Sr. picks it up, tries to hit the hole as quickly as possible. And a 49-yard punt rolls out towards the 40-yard line as Taylor Powell goes back to work here in the fourth quarter preseason action for the Black and Gold offense. Some key re-signings for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the offseason, and obviously you have to go out and try and fill some spots as well that were lost to other teams, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats didn't just sign Winnipeg Blue Bombers. With an update on Reggie Stubblefield coming to the Black and Gold, here's Matthew Shinetti.
Peel back the curtain for the viewers just for a second here, Marshall, because our esteemed analyst Paul Lapolice off-air did ask if we have an update on Reggie Stubblefield, so I did sneak over, the intrepid reporter that I am, to talk to Reggie Stubblefield, and he said this week he's going to Montreal to be evaluated for that ACL injury that he suffered in June of last year. And typically, guys, we know that ACL injuries can take up to a year to be fully healed. And he will get a sense of whether or not he's going to start the season on the 1 game, perhaps on the 6 game. He doesn't know himself, but the sooner that Reggie Stubblefield gets on the field itself, Marshall, the better it will be for Brent Munson, this Ticats defense.
Yeah, no doubt. He was the Alouettes nominee for CFL Most Outstanding Rookie Award when he was over in Montreal. And then, as you say, first game of the regular season, and a couple of tackles, special teams tackle, and then onto the 6-game list for the remainder of the year. So, free agent, and Hamilton wants to see him in a uniform sooner rather than later, and we will watch for that one closely as we inch towards.
Yeah, I talked to Ted Gavai in the offseason about Reggie Stubblefield. I thought that was a great signing. As you said, like, he only got to play 1 game, blew his ACL in the first game of the season, but this was a playmaker. And if he's watching this game, he should be really excited. Why? Because this defense keeps bringing their Sam linebacker or nickel strong side linebacker blitzing off the edge. That's what he was special at. He was a great football player. And Ted Gavai knew, hey, we might have to put him, take it nice and slow, put him on the 6th game, but he is worth it. We want him in our building for a playmaker for the defense.
Taylor Powell on the money with that one, and just bounces off the hands, incomplete. Number 39, that's Trayshawn Ward, unable to hang on to it. And so Hamilton in a hole again, 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and for Trayshawn, this is what I'm talking about. The young player getting an opportunity. You get in the game in the 4th quarter, you make that catch, well, maybe you got a run play the next play. And that's what you get, your opportunities. Make your opportunity an opportunity for someone else. Got to keep finishing and making your plays.
Just had to do a double check when I saw 82 out there. Yes, that is Drew Wolotarski not wearing Winnipeg colors. He is in black and gold here in Hamilton as Powell fires this one in underneath and on cue. 82, just shy of the first down marker, but the veteran presence making his way over.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, he was an amazing guy to coach and work with. I enjoyed all my time with him. Players love working with him. Smart individual, can play in a number of spots, understands when to sit in zone and man. Just high IQ football player. Made a lot of plays for the Bombers over the years. And he's just one of those another guys where, hey, when we keep re-signing players, sooner or later, guys that the Bombers love, fan base loves, we can't keep everybody.
And 3rd down, they go with a running play here. Just quickly, Lapo is, it looks like they are short, but there is a flag down on the play as well.
And back to the Winnipeg scenario, why Drew Wolotarski? They would have loved to keep Drew Wolotarski, but Iglesias did very good things for them last year, so sooner or later you're going to be...
Toronto number 76, 5-yard penalty. That will result in a 1st down.
But sooner or later, you're going to say, well, hey, we've got to get younger at the Canadian receiver, or we get maybe a little bit more affordable. That allows us to keep Stanley Bryant, Willie Jefferson, all the other factors. And that's just the unfortunate part of salary cap era, but great that Ted brought him in here. Veteran to help that room.
Great acoustic guitar player, too.
Yes,
Drew Wolotarski. He's going to love the local music scene, the Hammerman. He's going to crush it and get all these little lounges. He can play anywhere he wants in this town. And his inside run and off to the races.
There you go, Ward making your plays.
Into the end zone, touchdown. Trayshawn Ward, 45 yards.
You see Husseini there, the draft pick for the Ticats. Help him get a block there. Ward recovers from the drop he had a couple of plays ago. Makes a big run. See him here. He's just going to be working to our left of the screen. Obviously a misalignment by one of the linebackers to open up that gap. You have to have a linebacker in that hole. Linebackers overplay it, so you get some younger guys probably misaligned where they got it lined up, and Ward makes them play.
And the extra point up and good. What a block, too, by left guard Jacob Zahn, who's bounced around the CFL plenty.
Drafted him at the Red Blacks years ago, Jacob. Yep.
29th to Ottawa back in 2020, but Zahn, the left guard, rocking it. Taylor Powell approves, and Hamilton on the board once again. There is Trayshawn Ward, who had a bit of a hard time at the beginning of this drive. A little check down, first down. Taylor Powell says, give it to you, kid, go have some fun. Oh, yeah, eyes to the sky. Never a good thing in the preseason. Well, follows it up with this 45-yard romp.
And here's what these young players have to have an understanding of. Trace Ward makes his opportunity. You always talk to the players about, hey, don't be counting your reps. Make your reps count is a big term used all the time. But the other thing that really has to happen is you've got to have an understanding that you're going to make a team what you do in practice, not just what you do in the games. This is great. You show this. What has he done every day of practice to put themselves in a good position? And that's what I always talk about players having staying power. You got to have staying power in a long training camp. You can't get hurt. You got to do things correctly every time you get the opportunity. And then when you get in a preseason game, you make a play like this or two, and then coach is like, okay, I like this guy. Maybe this guy's going to be on our practice squad. That's what these young players are trying to do. Impress on the coaches that I can be somewhere that you can trust to be on the practice squad, and then when I need an opportunity, I can make my opportunities in a game.
Aaron Mitchell into the ball game in behind Tucker Horn. Chasing it down from the backside. There's Knight. You talk again about
another play, yeah.
I mean, the speed he's playing with. He's certainly catching a couple of eyes up here in the booth, and I'm sure down in the Tiger Cats coaching booth as well. They're going, man, 0-0 just keeps showing up.
Do you think he loved the 0-0, or do you think he asked for it? I mean, that's gotta love the 0-0.
Chasing down the backside, man. That is, again, good stuff.
Good pressure off the edge.
Well, Hamilton goes 6 plays, 71 yards in under 3 minutes, and now Toronto trying to answer with Horn. He goes left and right and left, comes back to Jaron Mitchell, and it'll be shy of the first down marker in their own end of the field.
Sometimes difficult for quarterbacks in the huddle to look to the left, flip his hips to the right. Short passing.
Lawrence Woods, as we talk about, Jaron Mitchell coming in, doing some returning, and the more you can do and all the rest.
Yes.
Woods banged up on defense earlier here tonight when his special team's ability really separates him from the field. And Hamilton has been looking for a little bit more juice in the return game anytime that Woods has been down during the last couple of years. So hope to see him out of that sling for week 1 in Calgary coming up. Is leaning forward is Jaron Mitchell. Did he get the first down marker? Needed to get out to the 47-yard line. There's about 1.75 yards that they needed to get. They'll spot it. Tom Valesi has a look. And turnover on downs. Hamilton's defense holds.
Great stop here. Mitchell tries to get up in there, just a little bit of penetration. You got White coming off the edge. Gets his feet in there. Once you stop their feet, you got no chance of getting extra yardage. Nice play by this defense. Knight's had a really nice night too himself.
And Trevor Hoyt, you said, flying off the edge. Patrick Burke Jr. into the game as well at free safety, coming down to try and assist with the tackle.
Trevor Hoyt's done a nice job. Football team on special teams.
So Powell back at the controls for Hamilton's offense. Hands off the stretch right outside, and why not give it right back to Ward after his 45-yard touchdown run out of Boston College. And now it looks like Taylor Powell has gone to the sideline, and a quick quarterback substitution.
See right here, boom, 1 foot in the ground, get north-south. That's a nice move by him. As the line stretching, puts his right foot in the ground, goes north-south as the offensive line separates the defensive line.
And so Hardison in short yardage as they see whether or not he's got the right stuff to steal Antti Litre's job away as the short yardage quarterback for this Hamilton club. And it is the 3-minute warning here in Hamilton as the Tiger Cats in control 21-10 against the vaunted Argonauts. Our preseason coverage wraps up next week. Last one before the real thing. It's the Owls and the Red Blacks, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on TSN. Today strangely did feel like I don't know whether it was like a Labor Day teaser, like having Sask Winnipeg playing against each other and Calgary Edmonton.
And we're in the hammer with Toronto, Oregon.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, he kind of got a little bit of the itch all of a sudden. As Hardison back to the sidelines after dabbling in short yardage responsibilities, and Taylor Powell back into the ball game here. And the Tiger Cats content to let the clock roll a little bit before Powell turns around and hands it off. Ward adds a couple more yards to his tally, but one of the things that we discussed at various points throughout the night is, man, just how many bodies there are on the sidelines down here, right? Like, it's amazing when you see the home teams and get to dress more players in these preseason games. And man, Hamilton, that looks like I don't know if it's an anthill, a beehive, what that is, but there's a ton of dudes down there who all just want to play professional football, and you see it on both sidelines.
Yeah, and that's why you got to reinforce a point I just talked about. It's like you're not going to get enough reps in game to be able to convince people what you can do. So you got to do it consistently every day on the practice field, or else, you think, oh, I'm going to make my plays in the game. It doesn't happen often.
With the toss here to Ward, great chase. Great tackle. There's that, tracking it down. 34 on the backside. That's Steven Smith, CJFL experience out of Regina.
Nice tackle on the inside on the toss play, trying to get people out on the perimeter. Tough to make tackles in space. Smith does a great job chasing it down. Quick toss play, goes out perimeter. There's Smith right there. Runs it down, makes the play.
Looking like Wynton McManus right there. Turn, run, deliver.
With a toothpick.
So the field goal unit comes out. Mark Leggio, you see there, knocking them down in 17 and 34 on the evening. Successful season last year as well. There's a lot of guys that were already on this roster who used to play in Winnipeg before taking back years. He kind of showed up and he's like, oh yeah, I know you. I already had you a couple years ago. Leggio spending his time.
Yeah, and you see a lot of coaches, right? We saw Jason Shivers at one point today, former assistant in a number of spots, back now with the Toronto Argonauts, and he's standing with co-offensive defense coordinator Kevin Iben, and I think I saw with Scott Milanovich a couple times, Casey Crehan back in the Canadian Football League, working with the defensive line. So there is some coaching changes here, and interesting to see what Jason kind of brings to this defense of the Argonauts. And it's similar to last year. You see them today early in part of the game. They love to play coverage, and hopefully we can get home with a pass rush. Now, the pass rush is going to be different than it was last year, but certainly having an experienced former coordinator in your building is a good thing. There's Brent Munson and Casey Crehan. Munson comes over from Calgary. Hamilton boy, right?
Yeah,
it's back to his hometown.
Yeah, it's funny. There's been a couple of different times somebody who lives here in Hamilton that go to the grocery store during a Stampeders bye weekend and just go, hey, Brent.
Hey, I'll tell you this. Let's talk about Brent Munson at one point. Hey, people always say sometimes, hey, I'd love to do what you do. I'd love to coach. I'd like to be there and do all those things. Okay. Brent Munson started out as a video coordinator. He sent letters to every team.
Oh, big play. Loose ball around, and now we're playing preseason ball. Finally, Herslow pops that one out of bounds going backwards. But
Herslow paid attention in the meetings where it said, hey, when the ball's on the sideline, Herslow, make sure you just tap it out. So good, getting all situational stuff. This is great film tomorrow to talk about in your meetings. You see everybody going over trying to tap the ball. As we understand in the Canadian Football League, you don't have to have possession, you just tap it out of bounds.
And trying to knock it out. You see big 76 chasing it down here for the Argonauts as well. The most preseason possible tidbit I can give you here tonight to wind things down in the fourth quarter. 76, trying to make this roster. DeMarcus Johnson has a Christmas birthday. He's playing alongside DeMarcus Christmas. There you go. You're welcome, everyone.
Tip your waitress. He's here all week.
Preseason brain, when you got this many players on the sideline, you start piecing together all these fun little things, and you go, man, it's a crazy combination, pro football in the CFL, to throw everyone in the locker room. And
well, here's a problem sometimes. When you retire so many football numbers, you don't have enough numbers for all these guys. You have two sets of numbers sometimes.
Another completion here. Herslow gets rewarded for his special teams knowledge with a grab.
I like the tackle. Plays a Mary Walton, really good recognition coming soft spot of the zone. Young player getting some reps.
Tucker Horn trying to show that he's got command of this hurry-up offense. And he rolls to the right, finds the open receiver, and Ursula hauls in another for an Argonauts first down right at the sticks.
Keep this drive going. Get more reps, more stuff on tape.
We've got a little taste of CFL action here today with all these games happening around the country. Hope everyone that got out to a game enjoyed. If you haven't, let's see what week 1 looks like.
Ursula's doing these best impression. You're always sliding to get your back foot inbounds. We call that the toe tap drill on the sideline. Really good execution there of that.
There's another completion underneath. And Tucker looks like he's got some tools in his skill set to be able to hang around for at least another week, get some more reps, build some more film.
Yeah, that's the hard part now. You're trying to figure out how many, if I'm going away on the road, if you've got veterans, say you're on the road in a preseason game, you don't really like taking your veterans to a game. Yeah. Because they're not going to play long.
Oh, big hit right down the pipe as Patrick Burke Jr. stepped in, but it's held on. Dante Demas.
That's great vision. Throwing it before the safety can get over there. You can see when he held the safety with his eyes. Good shot by Burke.
Good job by Burke not going up high either. He was able to catch him right in the chest. It's now another big stick, and there's Knight.
There's Knight again.
All over it once again with Jaron Mitchell on the receiving end.
So this is what's great about this. So right after that catch, the Argos looked to go tempo, right? They ran right up to ran a play. I think they're trying to make sure that there really wasn't a lot of extra time taking a look at whether that was a targeting hit on the receiver. So I like that. That's good situational football for them to go up. Hey, let's get up here. Let's go run a play quickly. So Horn sees it, moves the safety. It's a way to make this play. This is a huge hit right there. Burke's got his head out of the way. That's good. Nice, clean hit. But I think the Argonauts might have not been sure. Says, hey, let's get up, right?
Yeah. And Quantrez Knight that we've been talking about throughout the evening is down on the field and getting some attention right now. But
37 seconds left. They've done a nice job moving all the way down the field. This is good reps for them to show of their no-huddle offense, all this stuff. This is great.
No doubt is Knight being supported there by Claire Toffelmeyer, head athletic therapist for the Tiger Cats. That Patrick Burke Jr. hit and the fact that it was clean. We've seen a couple of really fast physical collisions here tonight. And it actually reminds me a little bit when I see it more and more where you go, 5 years ago, I don't think Patrick Burke keeps his head out of that play.
Yeah.
Right? Like
the league's done a good job of communicating to the players, and the coaches have done a really good job communicating on, player safety. You saw the rule a lot of the rule changes that came in this year was, trying more things for player safety. Now there's a new rule this year. You cannot hit a defenseless receiver below the knees. Too many injuries are happening with that. So the league's done a really good job of making sure, hey, we got to protect our football players. Great to see Knight walking off the field here. He had a great night. Somebody tomorrow is going to talk about him and say, hey, this kid showed up. We got to find a place for him somewhere. Make sure he gets opportunities.
No doubt. Certainly one of the kind of top 10 notes, if you will, coming out of this game between these two rivals as Jaron Mitchell gets a little bit of breathing room on the outside, turns the corner, puts down a shoulder, and gets pushed out of bounds at about the 15-yard line.
Just like him to have an understanding. Get out of bounds as soon as get all your yardage and don't even worry about it. Get out of bounds.
Here we go. What are you dialing up for Tucker Horn? He's all fired up. He's the third string. Wants to get in here. Wants to get some love. Technically, he's the fourth because Chad Kelly's out there, but third string here on the depth chart this evening.
Well, you got 25 yards. You're at the 15-yard line, so you don't have to go to the end zone here. Get 10 yards, right? Call something on the sideline. Call a curl. Something as they're going to back up into the end zone. Get half of it, and then one shot for the end zone.
As they do run some curls and ins, and Horn will roll to the right, doing the math in his head. Can he run? Should he throw? Checks it down underneath. Nice, smart, safe play. And inside the 5 goes Toronto.
Guys, using his legs to get out on the perimeter, avoid the defensive end on the right-hand side. Just waiting. Now you're here. You're on the move. Now you're just waiting. Which receiver sees me? Who's coming back? You can see him directing traffic, trying to find it. Can't find anybody. Gets a throw on the underneath.
Alvin Turner junior on the receiving end that time. And so Toronto calls timeout, and they'll get the right substitution package in. Ryan Dinwiddie working the sidelines here right to the bitter end of the preseason. He'd rather be doing this than getting practice reps in anyways. This is the good stuff, right?
Yep.
And Scott Milanovic hoping his club can avoid the 0-5 start they began last season with. Certainly looks smoother tonight. As Horn digs in. First and goal, pressure on, fades it up, incomplete, no flags down. He's trying to go into the back of the end zone. Dante Demas, who took that big hit earlier on, but that was Mac Benetine, third-round pick, 28th overall out of this year's draft from the University of Alberta.
Down to here at the 2-yard line, gets so much press man. What do? You throw it up to a big guy. Why? Because the end zones are 20 yards deep. So at the 2-yard line, they still got to defend the back line, which is 21 yards away. Like, you really got to make sure when you see coverages with press man, you got to make those shots and make those opportunities here.
Maryland versus Alberta on that last rep. You got to love it. Just two dudes trying to make a football team. Is this one ripped? Incomplete. Was looking for Herslow and goes through his hands. As good strong arm that time from Horn, and they'll get one more shot at it. 3rd and goal.
Yeah, and I like it. You gotta get the ball. The worst thing could have happened here is you hold on to the ball, you take a sack or anything, and you don't give you an opportunity. They threw the ball quickly. You'd like to make that catch, but at least they gave themselves 5 more seconds, so they actually get a 3rd play here. So it'll be interesting to see what they get.
Split it out 5 wide. Byron Mitchell in the backfield. Hamilton defense floating around. They'll blitz all over the place. Underneath, touchdown Argonauts. And Jake Herslow into the end zone. As Tucker Horn able to lead Toronto down the field late. As time expiring, 11 plays, 98 yards in just 90 seconds. And had to earn every bit of it.
Drifting away from the extra player. A little bit of a rub concept at the goal line. You know you're going to have man coverage. So what do? You run one guy upfield and you run one guy underneath him. Nice little rub play for a touchdown for Herslow. Nice little night.
Almost looks like a flag concept there, Lapo.
Yeah.
Now they'll go for 2. Why not? Get the extra rep in. They go back up top to Demas. And 2 for 2 is Mac Benetine. Trying to stake his claim to a roster spot, as so many players did here tonight. In an entertaining matchup between the QEW rivals in Hamilton and Toronto. The Tiger Cats send their fans home happy in the preseason with a 24-16 victory. Couple of takeaways for you, Lapo, on this one. Players that jumped out, that noteworthy appearances.
Yeah, and I thought Knight did some good things. Even Hornet did a game going down, getting opportunities. So I just like seeing Bo Levi Mitchell get in, get some throws, get some relationship with Kenny Lawler, and get him out of the game. Just get that opportunity. Nick Arbuckle did what he's supposed to do, threw where he needed to. So now you get one more opportunity, and it looks like, all these guys from Hamilton played. I think it's going to be a much younger group next week for them. And now Bo Levi Mitchell's gotten enough reps in training camp with some of the new players in the organization.
As we said, 2 of the 3 highest scoring teams in the CFL last year. 27.5 points per game for Hamilton, 28.6 for Toronto. They'd love to be able to make that continue, but plenty of familiar faces in new places, plenty of new faces just trying to make a name for themselves. And the Grey Cup MVP kicking things off as he reminds you about just how great the Canadian Football League can be and is on a week-in, week-out basis. Just a small sampling of what's to come this season right here on TSN. For Paul Appleese, Matthew Shinetti, I'm Marshall Ferguson. Thanks for watching. See you soon.